It's that time again, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it's the Downforce Grand Prix World Series, the Minecraft of motorsport. And today we come to you from the Madras Motorsports Club in Chennai in India, just down the road from Irungattukatai. And it's going to be an absolutely fantastic day of racing for round 10 of the 15 race Downforce Grand Prix World Series, based on the Jeff Crammon Classic Grand Prix 2. Jake Sanson here. If you've never seen this before, it's a management series rather than an in-person sim racing experience. You manage a team, in this case it's Grand Prix racing, so our rules are that you manage an ex-F1 team that never won a Grand Prix and no manufacturers are permitted. You pick two F1 drivers that are either racing full-time or as a test driver that neither won a race, an engine supplier that no longer competes in F1, so any engine manufacturer you like other than Mercedes, Renault, Honda and Ferrari, and any tyre company of your choice as well. There are updates every 2 races permitted, and you get prize money based on the results over the course of a season. It's as simple as that, really. And there are 2 qualifying sessions pre-race. The fastest lap from that decides the grid. For those who have been following the series all the way through, we do have some news headlines for you, because there have been some updates of late. We have decided, and we alluded to it a little in the last broadcast when we were racing at Helsinki in Finland, there is going to be a celebrity race that has been signed off and confirmed, and that will take place during the season finale. Not telling you where that is, but it is a pretty special circuit, and it's going to be a celebrity race which will consist of the last 26 Formula 1 race winners to have never been world champion. That is quite an incredible lineup. We'll tell you more about that in the coming weeks. The Group C Challenge is now a complete lineup. I'm delighted to say we have 26 competitors who will manage their own teams. 13 already know which teams they're going to be managing. The other 13, well, they'll find out which team they'll be managing tomorrow at 2 p.m. UK time via our live stream right here on the Downforce UK YouTube channel. So that's really exciting. In the future, we have got some amazing categories that we are lining up and getting ourselves ready for, including the World Touring Cars and Kart Champ Cars. They are being prepared, as is British Touring Cars, Indy Racing League, Formula 3000, and even the Le Mans Masters Series. There's even talk of an FIA GT challenge as well. All going to be very exciting. If you have any ideas for future races that you'd like to see, downforceuk@hotmail.co.uk. We're even considering the possibility of a real-life F1 career mode starting from the year 1995. That would be pretty incredible stuff. If you're interested, let us know via the email downforceuk@hotmail.co.uk. Let's talk you through the standings at this precise moment in time. 9 races in and 6 to go. Jean-Eric Vergne leads the Drivers' Championship in front of Kamui Kobayashi, with Marc Genet now in third ahead of Timo Glock. 2 wins in a row have really put him up at the far end of the field now. Brendan Hartley up into 5th position in front of Andre Lotterer. Lucas de Grassi has still scored some good points. And then Nico Hulkenberg is in 8th position. Paul di Resta in 9th place and now no longer racing in the category, although still having scored his points earlier in the season. Sebastian Buemi finds himself in 10th position. Sebastian Bourdais still high in the rankings in 11th place ahead of Nick Heidfeld. Jaime Alguersuari creeping up to 13th now after a couple of podiums. Alexander Rossi is 14th from Anthony Davidson. And then Bruno Senna, Pedro Della Rosa, who still has a big score to get. Stoffel Van Dorn and Scott Dixon, the Simtech teammates, are tying in 18th, and then Susie Wolff is there in 20th in the standings. There are a few other drivers who have scored points this year. Marcus Ericsson, who takes a back of the grid penalty along with Bruno Senna this time for his shenanigans in Finland. Gabriele Tarquini is now ahead of teammate James Courtney, and then Taki Inui and Luciano Berti both have 2 10 places apiece, and then Pedro Diniz scored a point 2 races ago in Birmingham. In the team standings, it's very competitive, particularly in the midfield. BAR have a slim lead at the moment, though. Arrows are there in 2nd place, with Mana and Super Aguri now fighting for 3rd position in the standings. Minardi are in 5th position, along with AGS. And then we have the Onyx team in 7th. Lola are in 8th place in front of Prost and Simtech. And then we have BMS Italia in 11th position, just a whisker in front of Midland and 40. That is the way things are currently stacking up. As we mentioned, tomorrow is the start of the Group C Sports Car Challenge in earnest. Our live draw is taking place tomorrow at 2 p.m. For 13 of the managers, they will find out which team they are actually managing. And for all of the team managers, they will find out who their 4th mystery celebrity racer is going to be. And it will be a racer from the world of Hollywood, whether it's going to be Ricky Bobby or whether it's going to be Cole Trickle from Days of Thunder, or it could even be Michel Vaillant. The teams have no idea until the draw tomorrow. It's going to be a really exciting stream, a good bit of fun, and a good bit of laddish and laddish banter. That's a word I tried to say and failed dismally. So let's move on to the race build-up itself. And we're going to go down into the pits and talk to our team managers, as we always do pre-race here in Chennai. So let's have a word with some of our managers as they get ready for the action. We'll talk first of all to Ryan Ferris, the team manager of the Onyx squad. Ryan, interesting race here in Chennai. It's a short circuit, a bit like Adelaide in Australia in terms of length. So it'll be a long race of 80 laps. How are you guys faring heading into this one?
Well, we're not entirely sure. We did get a good points from Bourdais in the last race. Obviously, Senna's got his grid place penalty, so hopefully he can try and pull himself through. But yeah, as this racing series has sort of shown us, you can't really predict anything in this racing series.
So, obviously, it's going to be a tricky one for Bruno, starting at the back of the grid after his penalty from Finland. But Bourdais has been very consistent in the points of the last couple of races. How confident do you feel that he'll still be there come the finish?
Yeah, providing the car doesn't go bang, which seems to be quite a high possibility with the high attrition rates in this series. Yeah, I feel confident that Bourdais could score us some more points today.
Fantastic stuff. Looking forward to seeing how you guys in purple and pink and white get on. Good stuff. Over to Phil Kinch, the team boss at AGS. It's been an interesting build-up to the season for you guys. You obviously had a fantastic win in the second round at Marrakesh. It's been a tough year since then, but every time Rossi and Lotterer have had an opportunity to score points, they tend to score big.
It's true. They've been doing quite well when they've been doing quite well. Unfortunately, unreliability has plagued us in a big way. And recently, the actually quite upsetting thing is that the celebrity race in Birmingham, our drivers are running 1 and 2 and happily leading away and building a nice gap before the cars broke down again. So again, we've done what we normally do. We've torn the cars apart, put them back together again to make sure everything is as it should be. All we can do is really hope for a big points haul here today. They seem to go well on street circuits. We're obviously not on a street circuit this time, so really fingers crossed for some points, to be honest.
Sounds good to me, Phil. Good luck with it, and hopefully AGS will score big again this time. Finally, let's have a quick word with the team manager at Minardi, Alex Goldschmidt, another winning manager over the course of the season, having taken the win at Taupo in New Zealand. Mark Genet and Anthony Davidson struggling in qualifying, neither of them in the top 10 this time, but it looks as though a lot of the teams are trying to catch you guys up, but the pace is still there. When they have a chance to be in the top 5, they usually are.
The only problem is that with Mark having now 3 DNFs on the trot, Jake, it's not been a great beginning of the second half of the season, to be fair. Poe, and then Birmingham, and then also obviously Helsinki. Mark is just absolutely frustrated. I mean, we've been working on, the reliability should be there. We've been working on that really hard in the first part of the season, but now we've decided to add a bit more power, see if we can change our strategy a little bit going into this round here in Chennai. Hopeful that both drivers do finish, because Mark just really is just getting to that point of frustration of why the heck is it going wrong the whole time. So we'll see what happens here in India, but we've got our fingers crossed as always, like we have all season long, Jake.
Fair enough. Hopefully it's a prosperous one for Minardi. Good luck to you and good luck to all the team managers as we head into the Grand Prix of Chennai here in India. So for those of you who are not aware of the Irangatu Katai facility here at the Madras Motorsport Park in India, let's go round the circuit. On board with Nico Hulkenberg on his qualifying lap earlier on in the weekend. Last down to the first corner. It's not a very long run to that first corner, but it is a nice fast sweeper to the right-hand side. And then you cut back into turn 2 where the pit lane exit tails off. It could be interesting come the pit stops in through turn 3. Tight left-hander, a square left, and then you're back on the power. Now a very tricky section of the course here. Left and right, still on the power. Blip of the throttle to the left-hand side. Then underneath the Tata Bridge. And then you're into a heavy braking zone for the left-hander. And then cutting straight back out to a right. It's a long hairpin, this one, but you come back out on the throttle, and then a nice little twisty section. Left, right, little bit of blip on the throttle again. You've just got to hold it together through this section. It goes for a long time. Then you're back in through a left, flat out kink, and you're back on the power. Now this is the trickiest section of the course for sure. You're braking for a tight right-hander, and as you can see, Nico Hulkenberg actually got bolt there by one of the Minardis on this particular lap into the left-hander. Kept it going nice and smoothly there through the square left, and now you're into a very technical part of the circuit. Right, A little bit of blip of the throttle, left, and then you carry a lot of speed through this next section. As you come into the right-hander, you're getting back on the power, but you have to blip it slightly. You're up and over the top of the crest, so there's a lot of dynamic changes in this course as well. Through the right, and then you're out into the final part of the course, and over the start-finish line once again. It's a tough old racetrack, but it is a short one, so obviously the drivers have to keep themselves to themselves out there, and it's going to be a tough old race. 82 laps. Here we go with the starting grid for the Chennai Grand Prix. Timo Glock and Nico Hülkenberg on the front row of the starting grid, with Jean-Eric Vergne in third and Kamui Kobayashi in P4. Paul Di Resta lines up alongside Jaime Alguersuari, and then it's Pedro de la Rosa and Nick Heidfeld. Rounding out the top 10, the Simtek twins of Stoffel Van Dorn and Scott Dixon. Then it's Lucas de Grassi in 11th, and Sebastian Bourdais is 12th from Pascal Wehrlein and Brendan Hartley, who share the 7th row. Marc Genet and Andre Lotterer are on row 8, then Alexander Rossi is alongside Pedro Diniz in the leading Midland. James Courtney and Gabriele Tarquini make it an all BMS Italia row 10. Anthony Davidson is a whisker in front of Taki Inui, Susie Wolf and Jean-Denis Delatraz on row 12, and then back of the grid penalties from Finland applied to Bruno Senna in the Onyx and Marcus Ericsson in the Midland. Hang on to your hats, everybody. It's going to be a very exciting race here in India. Hopefully it's going to be a clean one, but with 82 laps, anything's possible. Well, it is time to go racing here in India. We are ready for the Madras Motorsport Park to ring to the sounds of Grand Prix engines. Glock, Hülkenberg, Vergne, Kobayashi and Di Resta from the front end of the grid. And it's going to be 82 laps here. It's a short circuit, so expect lots of drama and tension and action. Ready? Lights will come off and we'll go racing very shortly indeed. It's going to be an action-packed start, that is for sure, as the drivers are ready to go. Glock, Hülkenberg, Vergne, Kobayashi and Di Resta from the front end of the field. And hopefully it's a long haul, but away we go racing this time. Glock gets a good start. Jean-Eric Vergne is going to try and pull alongside Hülkenberg. What a start from Kobayashi! He's stormed through alongside his teammate Hülkenberg, and Di Resta gets a good start as well. Into fourth position for the Lola as they come through the first couple of corners. Vergne is trying to come around the outside as the field squeezes its way through the first couple of corners, and it looks as though the arrows have finally sorted themselves out with Kobayashi behind Hülkenberg. So the rest of the field get their way through. Di Resta in fourth position though. Vergne is in P5. And then it's Jaime Alguersuari. Dixon's made a flyer. He's up to 7th on the race already. De La Rosa in front of de Grassi and Heidfeld. Then it's Van Dorn, Bourdais. And then we've got Wehrlein, Hartley and Diniz. So an absolutely cracking start from Timo Glock. But he's already under massive pressure from Nico Hülkenberg. The two Germans are already out in front. So a heroic start to proceedings already. Davidson and Wolf not getting the best of starts from the rear end of the grid. They have faltered behind the 240s at the moment. But Hülkenberg is already giving pressure to Timo Glock in the early stages of this race. Kobayashi in third place from Di Resta, Jean-Eric Vergne, and then in sixth place it is Alguersuari in the Prost. Dixon, De La Rosa, De Grassi and Heidfeld. 11th is Van Dorn from Wehrlein and Bourdais. Then it is Brendan Hartley in 14th, ahead of Pedro Diniz in the Midland. Then it is Lotterer and Rossi, the two AGSs from Genet, Tarquini and Taki Inui up to 20th. Great start from him. Senna is 21st. Then it is Courtney, Delatraz, Ericsson and Susie Wolf. And then it is Anthony Davidson at the back of the field. Here comes Vergne on the inside of Di Resta. No chance. He's not going to get through this time. So Paul Di Resta with a great start in the Lola. Really wants to make his impression. And he's trying to keep things flowing nicely. Van Dorn struggling there to try and get past Nick Heidfeld. So he's hoping to get onto a decent position. The Simtex have had no luck in terms of reliability of late. Hopefully they're going to be in a strong position this time. So let's see how it all goes as we watch Stoffel Van Dorn, the Belgian, trying to deal with Pascal Wehrlein. And it looks like an overtake behind them. Or is it? Because I don't think Brendan Hartley finished the move there. In the manner, trying to get up into 13th place. Timo Glock is down to second. Hülkenberg's gone through into the lead. I want to know what happened there. Oh, look, Timo Glock ran deep and ran wide as Hülkenberg got through. So Hülkenberg taking the lead then of this race. And he timed that one nicely. So Nico Hülkenberg is now in the lead here at Chennai. And now in India, he's going to have to try and fight his way back into position. So a very tricky situation. But Timo Glock is now under pressure from the second arrows. Taki Inui struggling for position there. And Alex Rossi is having a run of his own. And Kobayashi's got past Glock as well, I do believe. We'll try and double check it, but I'm fairly sure that's Kobayashi through past Glock. This is the replay we're watching now. So Kobayashi has dealt with Timo Glock very smartly as well. So it's an arrows 1-2. Here we go. Kobayashi making the dive up the inside of Timo Glock. And he is through. No problem at all for the Japanese. And now Glock under pressure. So that didn't last long. Timo Glock's strong advantage. And it's arrows 1 and 2. Now I should point out that not a single race this year has seen a team take a 1-2 finish. It's never happened. But Hulkenberg and Kobayashi on lap 2 are already out in 1-2, and they have stretched away from Timo Glock quite considerably, actually. The Super Aguri struggling there. But Glock is third in front of Di Resta. Vern. Kobayashi sets the fastest lap. Now, might this have something to do with fuel loads? Because Hulkenberg is on a light fuel load. Kobayashi... Oh! Hulkenberg from the lead! Hulkenberg has got an engine problem from the lead of the race. It's only lap 3, and Hulkenberg is out. Oh, that's devastating bad luck for Nico Hulkenberg. He had just taken the lead on lap 2, and on lap 3, the engine goes. Well, that is dramatic as it is controversial. Nico Hulkenberg is out on only the 3rd lap. He is the first retirement, and he is the race leader. That is devastating for Nico Hulkenberg. It's game over already. Oh, and Rossi going off and spinning. Rossi spins in front of the field. So I'm not sure what happened to Alex Rossi there, but he was in the battle for the midfield, and now he has to try and recover himself back into position. He does rejoin at the back. Di Resta makes the move on Glock. So Di Resta is into 2nd place, and that's why Timo Glock is on a heavy fuel load. So Timo Glock... Oh, Scott Dixon spun it! Scott Dixon spun it! Let's see what happened to him. He was in P6. Has he done that on his own, or is it purely... Yeah, it sounds like he's had an issue. He's just overshot there on the exit, so Scott Dixon goes off. Now, can he get back on track again without losing too much? I think he's going to have to let the whole field go there, so Scott Dixon, sadly, will drop to the back of the field with that one. A real difficulty there for Simtek, as Scott Dixon will now have to wait for Rossi to go through as well. Oh, it's devastating. Bad luck again for the Simtek team, and Dixon actually spins again, trying to get himself back on the racetrack. Devastating fortunes there for the Simtek team. And of course for... Oh, Taki Inui's gone now! Goodness me! They are falling off this racetrack. Left, right and centre. It's a dusty old track, this. And I wonder if Hulkenberg's engine failure may have left a little bit of... engine failure may have left a little bit of issues on the track there. But Taki Inui, I think, went off at turn 1. Let's have a look. Well, maybe not. My apologies. And Dixon, that is coming back onto the circuit again. Well, not quite sure what to make of that, because I think we already saw Dixon going back on circuit. But apparently he is still continuing. But I'm a bit confused by that one. Sorry, I'm not quite sure what happened. A jump in the picture there. But Kobayashi is your race leader. Di Resta second from Glock, Vern and Alguersuari. And then it is Della Rosa and De Grassi, Heidfeld and Wehrlein. From Stoffel Van Dorn in 10th. Then it's Hartley, Diniz and Bourdais. In fact, we're watching this battle going on between Diniz, Bourdais, Jenny and Senna. Lotterer, Tarquini are behind as well. It's a 5-car train led by Pedro Diniz. I have to say, brilliant start from Bruno Senna. So Bruno Senna has got himself up into, what is that? About 15th place. Cracking start from the back of the grid. He had a grid penalty to take into this one, as did Marcus Ericsson, but he too has managed to make up good progress in this field. But as they come down the main straight, it's Kobayashi leading from Paul Di Resta, who sets the fastest lap of the race. Kai Bacchini, team boss at Lola, must be absolutely delighted with Paul Di Resta, really starting to make an impression in this race. Lola have won a race this season, but it was the celebrity race rather than a race of the championship, with their man Jimmy Bly at the wheel. But it's going to be interesting to see if Paul Di Resta can get this race won. He's in behind Kobayashi, and he is closing in on the arrows. But Glock has lost 3rd position now to Vern, because he's on a heavy fuel load. Here is Vern. And we'll look at the fuel loads now. Look, Di Resta swarming all over the back of Kamui Kobayashi, who's on a heavier fuel load than Di Resta. Glock is on a very heavy fuel load. Then it's Alguersuari, Della Rosa and Heidfeld. They've all got reasonable fuel loads. De Grassi. Then Pascal Wehrlein is on a light fuel load. Van Dorn's going a little bit longer into the race. Hartley likewise. Diniz is on a heavy fuel load. That's why he's holding up this massive train of cars. But Bourdais is the same. Senna's gone light, based on the fact that he started from the back of the field. And then we've got Chennai, Lotterer going light as well. Tarquini a semi-light fuel load. Ericsson go very short on the fuel. Takianui reasonable. Courtney a bit longer. Davidson on a short fuel load with time to make up. Delatraz going quite slowly. Susie Wolf is on a light fuel load. And Rossi's on a light fuel load. So too is Dixon. So that gives you a bit of an idea as to how things are currently shaping up between all of the cars in terms of fuel loads. Kamui Kobayashi overshoots! Kobayashi goes off and comes back all right in front of Di Resta. Tries to get the lead back again. But Kobayashi loses the lead and Di Resta takes it. And now we've got a massive long train of cars here in India. Well, they did say coming into this race that it was going to be a tough battle. Kobayashi coming back through on the inside of Di Resta, and he gets there. Di Resta chops across to stop Verne, taking back second place. So the lead changes twice in one sector as Kobayashi runs wide and then manages to steal it back from Di Resta. And the top 10 are now in one massive long train. Fascinating stuff here. Anybody can still win this race. An absolutely thrilling battle here in India. And that's a move from Hartley. Oh, sorry, no, that's Degrassi up on the inside of Nick Heidfeld. And that's enough to put him into 7th place. Heidfeld is 8th, Wehrlein is 9th, and Van Dorn is 10th. 3 seconds between them all. This is turning into, already on lap 6, one of the most competitive races we've had all season. And we did think that coming into this one, the circuit was definitely going to be a leveller. It's very dusty in places. And we've seen quite a few driver errors in practice, but in the race itself, we've seen a few too. There's not going to be an Arrows 1-2, that's for certain, because Hulkenberg took the lead and then his engine blew. Kobayashi trying to hang on to the lead, although lots of pressure from Di Resta and now Jean-Eric Verne with 1.5 seconds between the top 5. This is how the race virtually ended at Taupo, but it's definitely starting in the best possible way here. Pascal Wehrlein. Oh, Wehrlein has broken his front wing. Pascal Wehrlein drifts wide and has broken his front wing as a result. He's going to have to move over, come into the pits and get that repaired. Oh, Pascal Wehrlein just pushing too hard. And there goes Stoffel Van Dorn into 9th. And there goes Hartley through into 10th place. And into the pits will come Pascal Wehrlein. That's an embarrassing mistake. And Di Resta takes the lead from Kobayashi. Di Resta gets back into the lead once more in front of Kamui Kobayashi. So a brilliant move then from Di Resta. And the Lola retakes the lead. Meanwhile, further back, Marc Genet is getting on terms with the Onyx of Sebastien Bourdais. Trying to come through. Oh, no, sorry. It is Bourdais. What's happened to Senna? I think he's managed to get past his teammate and start to pull away. Indeed, he has. So Senna up to 12th, making big ground, considering that he was starting this race from the back of the grid. An absolutely fantastic battle. So Di Resta leads. Kobayashi second from Verne, Glock, Alguersuari. They come onto the main straight. And a fantastic battle. Pascal Wehrlein into the pits. Unfortunately, his 9th position gone. And it looks as though the switch up from Tom Butterworth, he replaced him with Sebastien Boemi mid-season. It doesn't look as though it's worked out well because Wehrlein is struggling to get this car to the way he likes it and has yet to score a point this year, I do believe. Oh, no, my apologies. He has scored a couple, but certainly not the same sort of rate that Sebastien Boemi was up the inside. And that's Marc Genet trying to get an overtaking move into the left-hander, but was not quite able to do so on that occasion. Sam Hall, team manager at Manor, writes, Super Aguirre looking quick. Shame if someone cursed them. What are you up to? Brendan Hartley on the inside of Van Dorn. Moves up into 9th place. So Van Dorn goes back down to P10. Hartley is into P9 though. And the top 8 are not far away from them. This is still a very open race here in India. Anything can go wrong. And of course, don't forget that it's very hot out there. So Di Resta, Kobayashi, Verne, Glock and Alguersuari is the order at the moment. A fascinating battle. Paul Di Resta started P5. Good qualifying, but has come into this race on a good strategy. A lightish fuel load, and he's got a chance here. Now, we've got the 2 championship contenders here. Kamui Kobayashi and Jean-Eric Verne battling for second place as Timo Glock locks up under pressure from Jaime Alguersuari and Pedro de la Rosa in the 2 Prosts. Now, these two could do with a decent finish or two. They've had a couple of podiums in a row, but not for De La Rosa. Verne makes the move on Kobayashi, and Alguersuari bails out of the move on Glock. Verne has to bail out of his own move, and now Timo Glock's going to try and get after Jean-Eric Verne to take advantage of the slip-up. We're on board with Courtney as he now chases after the 40, and the 40's run off there. James Courtney with a massive plume of smoke, and Anthony Davidson appears to be out of the race. What's happened to Davidson? Oh, engine failure for Davidson. So he's out of the race, I'm afraid. And then we watch again as James Courtney behind the 40 of Taki Inui, who breaks his front wing in the process. So not good news then for Taki Inui and the 40 team. That's one more pit stop than they wanted today. But Anthony Davidson, as you can see, is out of the race in the Minardi. Scott Dixon goes through and past the position. So that puts him up into 24th after his spin earlier on. And he's now chasing after Pascal Wehrlein. Now, Scott Dixon, what will he have done in terms of strategy? Well, he obviously hasn't pitted yet. James Courtney out of the race now. James Courtney in trouble. And that was seconds after he trailed behind. Now, a gearbox problem. Now, I wonder, when James Courtney ran over the front wing of the 40, did it do damage to his car? Because that could easily have been as a result of running over that wing. He's got a gearbox issue, but maybe he just caught the car in the wrong way and it sheared the gearbox. It's doable. So, big problems for James Courtney. He's out of the race again. So, DeResta leads. 1.7 ahead of Kobayashi and Verne. They're dueling over second place. Then Glock, and then the man we're riding with, Jaime Alguersuari. Great racing here in India at the Madras Motorsports Club Park at Irungatukatai, just down the road from Chennai in India. And now Kobayashi under severe pressure from Verne. Verne trying to get up the inside line and take the place, and he's done so. Verne is through. Verne is through, no problem. So Kobayashi now falling into the clutches of Timo Glock and the two Prosts. Susie Wolf overshoots. That's the same mistake. That's exactly the same mistake that Kobayashi made that lost him the lead initially. But DeResta, Wolf's teammate, is leading now. Jean-Eric Verne in second. Kobayashi under pressure from Glock in third. And Susie Wolf under some pressure here from Alex Rossi. Rossi up the inside. Can't make the move though. As we look at Timo Glock in third position, trying to get after Jean-Eric Verne as Glock has got past Kobayashi. So Kobayashi down to fourth place. Didn't see where he made the move, but unfortunately for Kobayashi, he is now in the clutches of the Prosts of Alguersuari and De La Rosa. Looking back from the rear wing of Jean-Eric Verne in the BAR as Lotterer tries again to get past Marc Genet's Minardi and just can't make it through. Fascinating duel as we're on lap 11 of 82. It's a long old race this, but these drivers are going to give it absolutely everything for the entirety of. Paul DeResta leads Verne by 2 seconds. Then it's Timo Glock, 1.2 seconds back. Kamui Kobayashi is next up in fourth place in front of Jaime Alguersuari and Pedro de la Rosa, the two Prosts. Then it's Degrassi, Nick Heidfeld, Brendan Hartley in ninth, and then it is Stoffel Van Dorn in 10th position. Bruno Senna's way up to 11th place. What a comeback drive from the Brazilian. From the back of the grid, he's now 11th. Genet is 12th. Then Lotterer. Oh, and Marc Genet's had a mistake. Marc Genet, the same place. He's just run a little bit too wide, and that's broken the front wing for Marc Genet's Minardi as well now. Well, it's easy to make that mistake, but unfortunately now the sole remaining Minardi has got to let the AGS go through, and he's done so. Lotterer into 12th place. Ericsson's made a great comeback too. He's up into 13th place. Kobayashi pulling off. Kobayashi with a gearbox problem. Kobayashi is out. Arrows' race comes to an end after just 11 laps. And that is absolutely heartbreaking for Emma Butterworth, team boss. Their chances of winning the title are slowly slipping away now with 5 races to go after this one. Kobayashi, who was in 4th place, is out. And for Arrows, it's game over after just 12 laps. That is heartbreaking for the team. And so Arrows, it all goes wrong. Kobayashi pulling off in the S's. Unfortunately not impeding anybody, but there's Paul DeResta leading the way. Verne in second, Glock is third. Then the two Prosts of Alguersuari and De La Rosa. 6th is Degrassi, 7th is Heidfeld, 8th is Brendan Hartley, 9th is Van Dorn, and 10th place is Bruno Senna. There he goes, in fact. There is Senna getting through on Stoffel Van Dorn and into 9th place. Bruno Senna is having an amazing comeback in the Onyx. Absolutely thrilling stuff. Pascal Wehrlein gets back through on the 40 of Taki Inui after his trip to the pits for repairs. And Marc Genet has had to do the same thing. So Genet will come out behind these guys. Timo Glock in 3rd place though, running a strong race at the moment. And here comes Pedro Diniz. He's making a move on the inside of Taki Inui. So there goes Taki Inui down to 19th position. And as Edward Hunter says, they are dropping like flies. And Alex Goldschmidt points out that the arrows aren't firing straight and true now. Indeed they are not, as Marc Genet nearly bins it again. Losing the place to the 40 on that occasion. Well, That's gone very badly wrong. So the race continues on here in Chennai. 5 races to go at the end of this one. And of course, tomorrow we announce the 13 managers, their teams that are waiting to be allocated in Group C. And they'll also find out who their celebrity drivers are going to be. There's Jean-Eric Vergne in second position, chasing after Di Resta. His main rival in the championship is out, just as happened last time out in Finland. Jean-Eric Vergne may get a chance to run away with this driver's title. In second place, that will do. Scott Dixon trying to get up the inside of Delatraz, and Delatraz fending off. They are racing for position, of course. So Scott Dixon is struggling to keep things in shape. As we watch Jean-Eric Vergne chasing after Paul Di Resta, and Sebastian Bourdais chasing after Gabriele Tarquini in the BMS Italia at the moment. They come through hard and fast at the moment. 26 cars started the race, only 22 are left on lap 13 of 82. Quite a lot of racetrack still to eat up here in India. So the battle continues on. Fascinating racetrack this as well. Irun Gaturkatai. Oh, and Pedro Diniz has gone off. Pedro Diniz has gone off. Now, he's gone off and actually been off the circuit big time. See, look, what's happened is he's spun. He's spun off on the circuit and he's ended up beached at the first corner. No, it's not the first corner. It's in the middle of the circuit. Now, it's in the middle of the course. Now, this is what I said might happen in previous races. If drivers end up essentially off the circuit at the first corner, the marshals would come and collect them if they couldn't be moved. And Diniz is out. So the Midland becomes the 5th different retirement from this race. And that is really bad fortunes there for Pedro Diniz. So he's out. Di Resta leads the way though for Lola. Vergne is second. Glock is third. Della Rosa is in fourth. Alguersuari is in 5th position. Then it is De Grassi, Heidfeld, Hartley, Senna and Van Dorn. Lotterer is 11th now. Tarquini from Bourdais, Rossi and Susie Wolff. Then it is Pascal Wehrlein. Marcus Ericsson pitting in. I'm not quite sure what that's for. But Dixon has now got past him into 17th. Ericsson 18th now from Delatraz and Inouye. And then Marc Genet down at the back. 5 retirements. Only 21 cars still running. So Jean-Eric Vergne in second place has a brilliant chance to put a race victory between himself and Kamui Kobayashi in the championship. So an absolutely fantastic battle. There are all sorts of curry jokes going on the YouTube channel for those watching along between Sam Hall and Alex Goldschmidt. I think we just put them in barges on a Friday night and sort it out between them, don't you? Honestly. Through they come. And this is Susie Wolff, teammate to the race leader, Paul Di Resta. So Paul Di Resta is running. Now, Bruno Senna becomes the first of the leading drivers to come into the pits. And Della Rosa is through into 4th place in front of Alguersuari, I should point out. So the Prosts have switched over. Della Rosa is in 4th now in front of Alguersuari. Now, it looks like it's going to be a short stint for Bruno Senna. I think a 3-stop strategy considering he started from the back of the grid. So Bruno Senna going about this aggressively, but I think correctly. A 3-stop strategy, given where he started from, is not a bad gamble. Jean-Eric Vergne in behind Paul Di Resta. Second place for the BAR. Now, Jean-Eric Vergne has been good at piling on the points in recent races. There's Timo Glock, who won the last 2 races in a row. There's Della Rosa, who has still yet to win one. Alguersuari's down to 7th. What's wrong with Alguersuari? He's got damage to the front wing. So Alguersuari's got front wing damage now. That's why Della Rosa got past him, but he must have done that at the beginning of the lap. So Alguersuari makes a rare mistake. That doesn't happen too often. So Alguersuari now drops out of the top 5. Well, for all those who had issues earlier on, the more people that fall off, the better the chance of moving up is. Here's Vergne in the pits. Now, look, he's going longer on the fuel strategy this time. About 28, 29 laps worth of fuel going in. And also in comes the Manor and the Super Aguri of Nick Heidfeld. Oh, but Vergne has to wait. Vergne has to wait for Alguersuari. So Alguersuari comes in. New front wing, but that has ruined Vergne's chances there. De Grassi comes out. And I think Heidfeld's going to leave just behind him. But for Jean-Eric Vergne, he's lost crucial seconds there. Having to wait for Nick Heidfeld and Jaime Alguersuari to make their pit stops, so he had to wait for them. And that is bad news for Jean-Eric Vergne. And Dixon comes into the pits as well from 18th place. Absolutely fantastic race up front though but Jean-Eric Verne has taken a massive hammer blow, and Alex Rossi goes wide at that fast-flowing left-hander. We've seen a lot of drivers make mistakes there. Is that Bruno Senna making up a place again? It is, up into 11th position. Bruno Senna is having an absolutely terrific race. The Onyx driver charging his way through the field on this three-stop strategy. On a short circuit, you really can make this work. And into the pits comes De La Rosa from third. Here comes Senna up on the inside of Rossi, and he's back in the points. Brilliant work from Senna. He's clearly decided, I'm not going to stay at the back of the field for long, thank you very much, from the starting grid. And De La Rosa is in the pits again on a shortish next stint. So I'll have to wait when all the pit stops settle themselves out. But as a result of all of that, Stoffel Van Dorn is up into fourth behind Brendan Hartley. Now, Van Dorn, I think, can go slightly further into this race as well. Yes, indeed. He's still got a few laps more, and he's got clear track in front of him. So this is a good opportunity for Hartley in third position to make up some ground. There he is in third place, and Van Dorn likewise. Tarquini is now in fifth in the BMS Italia, but he has yet to pit. So, a long race with a lot of laps breeds lots of different strategic calls on a very short circuit. So it's not really clear until the race actually finishes playing out who's going to get it right. Here's De Grassi up on the inside of Rossi, and De Grassi gets through. Heidfeld does not. So Heidfeld's going to have to try and get himself back up into position once again. And Timo Glock, there he is, running in second place. 5 seconds behind Di Resta. The Super Aguri is quick, but it doesn't have the same sort of competitive package as it has had before. And Di Resta makes his pit stop. So let's have a look at the Lola. From the lead, Paul Di Resta pits in. Daniel and Kai Boccini would love to get a race win. They have done so in the celebrity race at Birmingham 2 weekends ago, but they've not yet had the opportunity really to win in the Downforce Grand Prix World Series. Di Resta is giving them their best chance yet. Out of the pits are Lola, about to become the 8th different team to win a race this season in the Grand Prix World Series. Brendan Hartley running well here as they continue to battle, but he's in second place now in front of Van Dorn. Di Resta has rejoined in fourth, but there's a long way still to go. We're on lap 18 of 82, and Susie Wolf comes into the pits. And that's Paul Di Resta struggling to get himself back up to speed. He doesn't want to throw it away now on his first lap out of the pits on fresh tyres, because that would really throw a cat amongst the pigeons. Tarquini is fifth, then Bourdais, Verne, De La Rosa, Senna and Di Grassi. From Rossi, Heidfeld, Wehrlein, although Alguersuari has now just got past Wehrlein. Ericsson 15th from Lotterer, Inouye, Jenné, Delatraz, Wolf and Dixon. Dixon is at the back, courtesy of his spin, and Verne nearly goes into the back of one of the Onyxes. Goodness me, Jean-Eric Verne. A mistake on top of a mistake there, and I think that was enough for Senna to get past Bourdais, was it? Not quite. But De La Rosa got past. Senna is now behind Verne. I think Verne's got a problem, you know. Apparently, according to that, he doesn't, but certainly Jean-Eric Verne is letting this race slip away from him. He's down to 8th place now, sorry. But Jean-Eric Verne really struggling. Meanwhile, here comes De La Rosa up the inside of Bourdais. And De La Rosa can't make it through. He has to. He chinks across to the other side of the circuit and is not able to do anything about it. So, a bit of a problem there, developing quite smoothly. But Brendan Hartley is in second. Van Dorn is third behind Timo Glock. But these two have got to pit, as has the race leader Timo Glock, who's gone a little bit longer than some of the other leaders. That should put Di Resta back into the lead. But depending on how long they go into the race, Di Resta is not guaranteed a race victory. Senna spins! Bruno Senna spins it! Oh, devastating. He was going well. What happened? He was closing up on Jean-Eric Verne. What happened? He just missed a gear. That's all it was. And he pitched the car around. Oh, Bruno Senna was on a massive comeback train. Now, that is the same point on the circuit that Diniz spun off. And if he can't get out of there, he's out. So Bruno Senna trying to get going again as Stoffel Van Dorn tries to keep control of the car in a tricky part of the circuit. But I think Bruno Senna might be out. He's buried deep in the gravel there. So it's not going to be easy to rescue Bruno Senna from that part of the circuit at all. And I think he may be out of this one. That would be a real shame, especially after his amazing comeback drive. But Bruno Senna just pushing too hard, I think. So difficulties there as Timo Glock leads Hartley, Van Dorn and Di Resta. Tarquini is fifth. And what's happened to Bruno Senna? Let's see if we can find out where he is on track. He'll definitely be down at the back end of the field. But I think he has got going again. Yes, in 17th. So Bruno Senna has got going, but he's down in 17th. So essentially, all the hard work he did is now effectively undone. Alguersuari now making his bid for Heidfeld into turn 2. And he's there. Yes. Nice move from Alguersuari. Heidfeld down into 12th position. Edward Hunter makes a very valid point here. Vern's problem is that he is trying to lose the championship, not win it. A very good point there. He's made too many mistakes in this race, really. There he is. Still struggling to make up progress. Oh, my apologies. That was his teammate Wehrlein. So Vern is in 7th place as a result of Bruno Senna's spin. There's Stoffel van Dorn. Still going in 3rd place, but obviously they have got a pit stop or two more to go in this race. And he has yet to make a pit stop, Stoffel van Dorn. So the youngster from Belgium, still running very well indeed. And Nick Heidfeld. Oh, Nick, he's just overshot there on turn 2. And he rejoins right in front of Pascal Wehrlein. That was dangerous from Nick Heidfeld. So that's definitely going to be something that BAR are not going to be too happy about. But unfortunately, there's not a lot that they can do about that one now. He rejoined right in the path of Wehrlein. And fair play to Pascal Wehrlein for reacting in time before Heidfeld did any serious damage. But that could have been very nasty indeed. Here's Van Dorn in 3rd position, being hunted down by Paul de Resta, who is about 5.5 seconds behind him. But the car behind Stoffel van Dorn directly on your screen is a 40. That is Jean-Denis Delatraz, I do believe, who has now fallen to 21st after his pit stop. And this is the battle for the final point. Alexander Rossi in front of the Prost of Jaime Alguersuari, who gets his way back into 10th place. Alguersuari fighting back. He does not want to lose ground here, and he's doing his best. So a very exciting run so far then from Jaime Alguersuari. And the drivers are still putting in quite the show here at Chennai. They all want to be at the sharp end. And Bruno Senna's gone off again. Oh, Bruno Senna off again. And this time it's at the final turn. Sorry, no, that's in turn 1, I do believe. So that is through the first corner. Bruno Senna's gone off. But this time, I think it's going to be a very, very difficult situation for him to continue on with there. He's gone very deep in this time. Even deeper than before. So I'm not sure he's going to be able to recover that. Oh, very difficult situation then, I'm afraid. But Bruno Senna, the Brazilian, after an amazing run, is out. And Brendan Hartley comes into the pits. So Brendan Hartley goes fairly long into the race. 30 laps. Now that looks to me like it's going to be a 2-stop strategy. He's going to be very, very tricky at this point. Remco van Engeland wants to know the fastest lap of the race. We don't really find that one out until the end, but I'm fairly sure it's still with Kamui Kobayashi. Obviously, a fastest lap tends to come up on the screen at the right moment. Bruno Senna trying to get out, but he's been lapped by the entire field. He's still trying to get out, but that's a very heavy gravel trap there at turn 1. And I think Senna is out. Well, he's still trying to keep going. Let's have a look. He is still working the car, still trying to get going, but unfortunately for Bruno Senna, even if he does rejoin, which he is going to, he'll be lapped, not just by the leader, but by the entire field. There goes De Resta through, I do believe. So that's really, really gone badly. The whole field has now lapped him. So that is devastating. In fact, that was Susie Wolf that went through, but that was Timo Glock that went through the next time around. So Senna does get going again, and Van Dorn pits from 2nd. So Van Dorn into the pits from P2. This is a very important stop, actually, for the race. So let's see what Stoffel van Dorn gets up to in pit road. It needs to be a fast stop. And he's going for a shorter stint this time. Now, that could be quite significant if he gets the speed up. What a stop from Simtex, 7.3. That is a very quick stop indeed, as Gabriele Tarquini comes into the pits. So Tarquini is in next now as well, and he's going a little bit further into the race as well. I think they're going to try and stretch that out to a 2-stopper. There's Bruno Senna still stuck at turn 1, but he's not getting out of the car. He just will not yield. He's going to be several laps down as Heidfeld pits in from down in 16th after his problems. Bruno Senna is still trying. He's determined, I'll give him that. He's trying to get back into this race. He really wants to make this race his own, but it's not going to happen. Bourdais, his teammate there, is in P5 now. So Glock, De Resta and Della Rosa is the order from Vern and Bourdais. And then it is Hartley, Van Dorn, De Grassi, Alguersuari and Rossi. Then Wehrlein, Ericsson, Lotterer, Tarquini, Chennai, Dixon, Wolf, Inui, Heidfeld and Delatraz, who is a lap down. Senna, incredibly, is now 3 laps down. But he's still not out of the race yet. He's refusing to get out. I've not known anybody stay in their car for this length of time. For quite a while, actually. Bruno Senna is just livid. He can't believe it. He was having the race of his life. And he fought his way back into the top 10 from the back of the grid. He's just refusing to accept defeat here. So Bruno Senna is about 4 laps down now, for at least, as Rossi comes into the pits from 10th. So that is another scheduled stop. But Timo Glock leads the way from Paul Di Resta. 14.9 seconds is the gap. Now Glock is going further into this race than a lot of the other drivers. And Ryan Ferris defending Bruno Senna. He says, if you no longer go for a gap, you're no longer a racing driver. I wonder who said that. Oh yes, that was your uncle. Bruno Senna trying to get back into the race still. He's not giving up. Surely the marshals are going to have to move that car soon, because he's actually in a very difficult situation. Because that's on the exit of turn 1. That's a precarious position. If anybody else goes off there, well, he's kept the engine running. And Bruno Senna, I think, is going to get back in this race. Bourdais is in 5th place in front of the Manor. Let's have a look. Bruno's still trying to keep the engine revs high. He's rubbing the wall. The thing is, he's stuck in the gravel. He's desperately trying to keep going. If only Lewis Hamilton had tried this in China 2007, he might have been world champion that year. But Bruno Senna continuing on, still doing his best. And surely, he's got to wait now. He's got to wait for everybody to go by another time before he gets going. Well, fair play. Bruno Senna gets it going again. Absolutely incredible. Now, we're back with Paul Di Resta, and he's gained a second on Timo Glock in the last lap. So Di Resta is going a second a lap faster than Timo Glock. And that's basically because they are now on the same fuel strategy, essentially, because Glock went very long on the first fuel stop. Di Resta went half the fuel and has filled up about the same amount as Timo Glock. But Glock's on older tyres. Di Resta is catching him. So this is a very interesting battle. Taki Inui right in there behind the Lola of Susie Wolf as they battle over 17th place. There are battles all around this racetrack, as there usually are. And we're on lap 26 now of this race. I think this is an appropriate moment to head down into the pits and have a word with our team managers, who are having a bit of a ball down there, let's be fair. And there's a few of them to have a word with as we watch Pedro de la Rosa in 3rd position. Let's have a word with a couple of the team managers. First of all, to Tom Cairns. We were just watching your man de la Rosa in 3rd position. He's having a cracking race so far.
Yeah, he's done really, really well, actually. I was surprised to see how Story out qualifying De La Rosa today, but De La Rosa's done a really, really good job again, still in it, unlike in the last few races. And really happy with Albert Story, despite the front wing damage he managed to get. He's been passing some cars very, very swiftly as we speak. So, but yeah, it's been a good job so far from both of my guys, staying out of trouble pretty much, apart from Albert Story's misdemeanor with a bump. And it looks as though we could well be having 2 cars in the points at this rate.
All sounding very good. That's what we like to hear. Let's have a word with Manor team boss Sam Hall. Sam, looks like it could be another points haul potentially for Manor. Degrassi and Hartley still going reasonably well. It's been an interesting start to the race for you guys.
Yeah, we've somehow managed to pick things up. We had a bit of a poor qualifying. It's never been our strength this year, but we're still 3rd in the championship. And yeah, if we can solidify that with a couple of decent points finishes here, then I'll be happy.
Fantastic stuff. Hopefully it's going to continue to go that way for the boys and girls in red. Let's have a word with Ryan Ferris. Ryan, this has been a fascinating race for Onyx. Bourdais is up there in the top 6 hunting big points. Senna was looking good for a strong result. What did he say to you when he was in the gravel? He just refused to get out of the car, I guess.
Well, you know, he had to try and find a gap, and his uncle famously said that if you no longer go for a gap, you're no longer a racing driver. And I think Senna just decided he didn't want to be a racing driver today, so he was going for the gaps on the track, but yeah, he just decided he wanted to sit in the gravel for a bit, you know.
Well, to be fair, before that, he was looking really strong. He had charged from the back of the grid to the top 10 and was looking good for some strong points. But do you think that this is potentially some of the pressure that you've put on your drivers to keep their seats for the last half of the season?
Potentially, but at the end of the day, we need the points to improve the car, and obviously the drivers have been complaining that the car has been underperforming since the last few races. So if they want the good car, they need to perform in order to get the good car.
Sounds like a reasonable request. Thanks very much, Ryan, and good luck to our teams for the next part of the race. Well, interesting words there from our team managers as we watch Jean-Eric Verne in 4th position, trying to close in on Pedro de la Rosa. Good to see him back up the order again in 4th place after some shenanigans after his pit stop. And that's cost him a bit of time. Basically, he got a little bit of the red mist up, I think, when he had to wait for a couple of drivers to go past him at the first pit stop before being released. And then had a mistake or two trying to get back into position. Now, Timo Glock is trying to make... Surely he's not trying to make a one-stop strategy work. That really would be farcical, but I've seen stranger things in this championship. But having said that, Timo Glock is losing about a second a lap to Paul di Resta, who's on the same fuel load at the moment, but some fresher tyres. And that's definitely helping out the leaders come through into a decent position. We're going to get di Resta chasing after Glock. Here comes the move from the Prost up the inside of Brendan Hartley, and that is Alguersuari. Jaime Alguersuari gets through into 7th place then behind Sebastian Bourdais. 8th is now Hartley. 9th is Wehrlein. 10th position, very quietly, is Marcus Ericsson. So Marcus Ericsson running in P10, having started from dead last after taking a grid penalty. Tarquini is 11th, Lotterer is 12th, then it's Jenny, Rossi, De Grassi. Here comes Nick Heidfeld trying to make his way back into 18th place after an off or two. So Heidfeld has had a miserable afternoon. Dixon is now 16th from Inouye, Heidfeld, Wolf, Delatraz, and 4 laps down now is Bruno Senna. That is absolutely startling. Oh, Sebastian Bourdais gone off! Bourdais gone off! Now, that's going to cost him at least 2 places. So, Bourdais rejoins, and he's in 8th position now behind Alguersuari and Hartley. Rejoins in front of his teammate Bruno Senna, who is, of course, 4 laps down. But Sebastian Bourdais making the mistake there. These two drivers very much under pressure to keep their seats. There's been rumours going around most of the season that Ryan Ferris is looking to replace one of them at least, if not both of them, when the time is right. So down the straight and over the line comes Timo Glock in the lead of the race. His teammate Heidfeld is behind him on track, but he's a lap down, having had all sorts of problems. And Heidfeld's job at Super Aguri must certainly be under scrutiny by now. He's had all sorts of problems over the course of the year. Now, we saw a couple of people have issues through the course of the year and ended up getting snapped up by other teams. Marcus Ericsson was dumped by Simtech mid-season and picked up by Midland. And today, Ericsson actually looks on song. Here's Taki Inouye. Again, still battling with Nick Heidfeld. Heidfeld gets through on the 40, having just got past Susie Wolf in the Lola. So Heidfeld has still got pace in that car, that's for certain. And it's Timo Glock getting ready for a pit stop. He can't be far away from it. He's still got a few laps left in the car. Meanwhile, in 2nd place, we've got Paul di Resta on about the same amount of fuel. Paul di Resta's had a bit of traffic to deal with, I think, and has lost a bit of ground to Timo Glock again. While De La Rosa and Verne are a good 14 seconds back. Here's De Grassi. Lucas De Grassi trying to get through on the inside of Marc Genet, and that did not work at all. So that's held him up. Back through they come once again. Just listen to that V10 cheer-up. Timo Glock running well in the lead of the race. There's the man in 2nd, Paul di Resta. Led in the early stages. Went on a shorter fuel load to increase the gap. Not big enough to hold on to the lead after the pit stop, but still very much in touch with Timo Glock. Now he's in 2nd place. He's starting to lose pace, is Timo Glock. Paul di Resta is starting to lose pace in the Lola. I wonder if he's pushed the tyres a little bit too hard here. It's a tough old race, this, and this Management League series. For those who are watching along, this is a management series rather than an in-person sim. So the drivers you're watching are all virtually programmed by AI. Jeff Crammond's Grand Prix 2. The team managers have selected the drivers they want in their team to a certain criteria. The teams are ex-Formula 1 teams that never won a race, and no manufacturers were permitted. So no Toyota, no Jaguar, no Honda. Susie Wolf gets out of the way. Oh, Thought she got out of the way for Paul di Resta, but di Resta wasn't able to sweep by around the outside. They pick a team that didn't win in Formula 1 and are no longer active in F1. They can pick an engine that is no longer active in Formula 1. 2 drivers that are no longer active in Formula 1 and never won a Grand Prix. And then a tyre company of their choice. So they have been playing since the start of COVID-19 lockdown, basically. And we are on race 10 of the season. 5 to go after this one. And tomorrow the Group C Challenge Championship starts. As Jean-Denis Delatraz tries to hold on there in front of... Oh, Jean-Denis, that was not sensible. Pedro de la Rosa had to sweep round the outside and nearly went off in the process. The Spaniard absolutely livid with Jean-Denis Delatraz, I'm sure. As he got in the way there, a bit of a mobile chicane, and out of the final turn, Pedro de la Rosa trying to put some more distance between himself and the championship leader, Jean-Eric Vergne. So the battle continues here in India. We've gone all over the world so far. Oh, Brendan Hartley! Brendan Hartley goes off at the final turn, and he's come on track right in front of the Onyx of Bruno Senna. So Brendan Hartley spins at the final turn. Well, that is dramatic, but Brendan Hartley spins off at the final corner. And I wonder if he's got a problem developing. There's Scott Dixon, a few places outside the points, but with time to go. There's Brendan Hartley trying to spin turn the car and get going again. But Brendan Hartley's got a massive problem here. Where is he going? Where is Brendan Hartley going? I think he's trying to spin turn the car, but he hasn't got a lot of space to do that. So he's trying to get a bit of throttle on and then spin turn the car, but he's got to do it at a point when the field can actually get through. So Hartley, the latest driver to make a driver error, and the field is just swarming by, and he's in 18th, 19th position now. Well, he recovers out of the final turn, but Hartley's chance of points have now well and truly gone. So Timo Glock leads Paul di Resta now by 12.8 seconds. So Glock's consistent sort of pace has kept him in position as Hartley comes into the pits. But di Resta's been pushing those tyres very hard. I think he's pushed them too hard. Absolutely incredible. And Van Dorn now getting up the inside there. Van Dorn's an outside bet for this one, you know. He's in 5th position and he's been steadily getting on with it in the Simtech. Alguersuari in P6. In the Prost, Pascal Wehrlein in the pits now in 8th place in the BAR. And Marcus Ericsson from 11th place comes in the Midland. So there's still quite a few drivers who need to make up some ground, but certainly in this stage of the race, there's all sorts of problems now. Sam Hall, apparently Manor are protesting Senna being in this race after they made contact with the car. Do they know that for a fact, or are they guessing? I think they're guessing, really. I don't think they saw anything of the sort. As Dixon is going to battle now with Ericsson and Wehrlein. As into the pits comes Timo Glock. Dave Goddard writes, 40 are protesting about Manor. They do too much bloody whinging. Bless it. Well, Timo Glock, look at that. He's going to be in the pits for a while now. This is going to be about 12 to 13 seconds for a pit stop. He's going to go heavy fuel. Look at that. 12-second stop. That's brave. That's very brave for Timo Glock. To only do a one-stop strategy in this race, that is brave. Paul di Resta takes back the lead of the race. But Timo Glock is now going to be an absolute stone around this racetrack. It's going to be like dragging an anchor around behind him. It's going to be a very heavy car that he'll be racing, but clearly they know something we don't. As De La Rosa gets up the inside of Heidfeld to lap him, and oh, that's Glock! That is Glock! The heavily fuel-loaded Super Aguri. De La Rosa passes him. And Vergne is going to as well. So maybe they've got this strategy wrong. A one-stop strategy is incredibly brave for Super Aguri. I'm not sure what Topher Smith and the boys were thinking about, but Timo Glock seems to think that putting the car on a heavy fuel load is the way to go. But Vergne is going to get through as well. There goes Vergne. And Timo Glock nearly throwing the car away. But there's Paul di Resta who leads the way. So the battle continues. Oh, and that's Scott Dixon going off. Now, he was very lucky there. He gets going, and how about that? I want to watch that again because there's no damage to the car. Yet something happened on the way through. He lost the place, but look, there's no damage. Scott Dixon was so lucky. He made the mistake, yes, but he has not damaged the car in any way at all. Scott Dixon, I don't know what rabbit's foot he's got in the car with him, but that is keeping him very much in the game. Anybody else with an accident like that would almost certainly have had a problem, but no, apparently Dixon's still going with it. As into the pits comes... Oh, Di Resta's got a loose wheel! Look at the back of the car, Di Resta's got a loose wheel! Well, it's about time for his pit stop anyway, but a loose wheel for Paul Di Resta. That's going to hemorrhage him time. Yet again, the Lola is coming to a stop at the wrong point. And that's going to hand the lead of the race to Pedro Della Rosa. Oh, the car's taken too much damage with the loose wheel. Di Resta's not close enough to home. And the Lola victory is over. Devastating for Paul Di Resta. Oh, that is such an agony. So that's 2 race leaders now out of the race. So Paul Di Resta, while leading, is off. And there goes Tarquini. Tarquini goes off at the final turn. Can he hold it together? Yes. Well saved. So that is very nicely saved indeed there by Gabriele Tarquini. But the race is over, I'm afraid, for Paul Di Resta. And as Remco van Engelen rightly says, that's a game changer. Della Rosa now takes the lead from Jean-Eric Vergne and Timo Glock. Van Dorn is up to 4th. And Tarquini goes off again! Tarquini goes off again, and this time, it's a big one. This time he's got heavy damage to the front wing. So Tarquini's going to have to make a pit stop. As now, we've got a 3-way battle for the lead. Della Rosa is leading by a second to Jean-Eric Vergne and a second and a half to Timo Glock as Alguersuari pits from P5. Now, Vergne has got about 10 laps of fuel in the car, as has Della Rosa. A little bit less than that, in fact, but there's a second between them. Glock can fuel to the end, but he's going to be so heavy on fuel, and those tyres will surely be weak at the end of the race. Van Dorn is in 4th, and he's only 4 seconds behind the race leader. So he's now in the contest for the victory. Absolutely incredible. Dave Goddard predicts Della Rosa leads, so he'll be out of the race in 5 laps. Well, it's a bit of a pessimistic viewpoint, but certainly the way things have currently been going. Sebastian Bourdais in 10th place, trying to get back up the order and battling with the 40 to lap him. Taki Nui drifts across the Midlands path, and he's not happy with that. Scott Dixon still struggling with handling in that car. But he's in 13th, despite the off. He's in P13 at the moment, trying to chase after Pascal Wehrlein. So with everybody dropping off the track, Tarquini the latest to drop it from in front of Dixon. There's still points on the line for the Kiwi. So Della Rosa leads the way. Vergne is second. Glock is third. Van Dorn is in 4th position. The gap between them all is just 4 seconds. Lotterer is in P5. 6th place for Rossi, 7th for Di Grassi, 8th is Marc Genet, 9th is Jaime Alguersuari, and in 10th is Sebastian Bourdais. Then 11th is Marcus Ericsson from Pascal Wehrlein and Scott Dixon. Then it's Heidfeld, Inouye, Wolf, Hartley, Tarquini, and Delatraz. We've had retirements from Di Resta. Well, we haven't had a retirement from Senna, but he's 4 laps down and still going. So Senna is technically 20th, although 4 laps down. We've had retirements from Di Resta, Diniz, Kobayashi, Courtney, Davidson, and Hulkenberg. Both arrows out of the race after just 11 laps. And that was very dramatic in and of itself. So here are the top 3. The race leaders, Della Rosa, Vergne, and Glock. Glock is really stepping it up now. He knows that with Di Resta out, he's still got a chance to win this one, even though he's on a very heavily fueled car. And those tyres have got to do about 50 laps. Surely that's not going to happen without some kind of issue. Glock is really running the gauntlet here in 3rd place. But he's 1.2 back from Della Rosa, so well, he's in the hunt. He clearly feels that a one-stop strategy and the tyres can go the distance with that. Well, here are the top 3: Della Rosa, Vergne, and Glock. Van Dorn is 4th, Lotterer is 5th. Then in 6th place it is Rossi, and Bruno Senna from dead last comes into the pits. Di Grassi is 7th, Genet is 8th, Alguersuari 9th, and Bourdais nearly throwing it away in 10th place, just 1 place in front of Marcus Ericsson, who is trying to get back up. In 11th place, Pascal Wehrlein is 12th, then Dixon, Heidfeld, Inouye, Wolf, Hartley, Tarquini, Delatraz, and Senna. So Di Resta, Diniz, Kobayashi, Courtney, Davidson, and Hulkenberg are all out of the race, and they are watching a thrilling race here. Della Rosa, less than a second in front of Jean-Eric Vergne. This race is still very winnable for all 4 of these top 4 drivers, and Andre Lotterer yet again has put himself into a decent position. So yet again, he's in the hunt. Absolutely fantastic battle. Emma Butterworth has just left the pit wall in order to clean the Wendy house. She's so frustrated with the arrows going up. Oh, and Jean-Denis Delatraz drops it right in front of the Super Aguri of Nick Heidfeld. And Delatraz gets going again. Wow, absolutely incredible situation. So this is a very tricky situation then for the leaders as the battle is really starting to get joined here. De La Rosa leads. Vern is only 0.3 of a second back, and they've got a spinning Lola. That's Susie Wolf going off. Susie Wolf goes off right in the path of the leaders. And Jaime Alguersuari dips further. Vern is in the lead. Vern has got past De La Rosa. Now, I want to see how that happened. De La Rosa hesitated. Wolf went off, and that was enough for Vern to get through. So Vern takes the lead as they avoid the spinning Lola of Susie Wolf. Wow, that was very dramatic stuff there as De La Rosa is now chasing after Jean-Eric Vern, the new leader. Well, when the musical chairs stop, Jean-Eric Vern is back in the lead. That is fascinating stuff. But now, of course, there's only 3 seconds between the leaders. The hesitation from De La Rosa and the move for the lead from Vern now means there's only, 2.7 between the top 4 cars. Still a very long race to go, don't forget. And Nick Heidfeld in the Super Aguri comes in from P14. Any sort of result will do for him today. But De La Rosa is now under big pressure from Timo Glock. Now Glock can't afford to push too hard as Pascal Wehrlein gets up the inside of Bourdais and gets through into 11th place. So Wehrlein gets through as Taki Inui pits in from P15. And Edward Hunter makes the comment that I'm sure every other team manager on the pit wall is thinking. Vern has been so lucky today. After all his mistakes earlier, everyone's just let him through. So it is interesting. Swings and roundabouts here in India. It's been an absolutely fascinating battle for victory. That is for sure. So Vern leads. De La Rosa, Glock, Van Dorn and Lotterer. That's the top 5 at the moment. And it's 3.8 seconds. Van Dorn seems to have lost some time. I'm not sure where he will have lost time. But certainly Van Dorn has lost a little bit of ground to the leaders. Has he got a problem developing? I certainly hope not. He's had every single retirement that a Simtech can have this year. No, still going strong. But he's on a light fuel load, as is Vern and De La Rosa. So Glock is going to be left out in the lead on his own, but with a heavy fuel load and a need to look after tyres. Remco van Engelen says some drivers are pushing to the limit and over it today. They certainly are. This man is one of them. Bruno Senna was trying to fight back from the back of the grid. Penalty. Made it as far as the top 10, but then binned it, unfortunately, and refused to get out of the car. So from his point of view, he is now using this race as essentially a testing session, a free test session here in India. But if he keeps going, and, you know, there's several other drivers that don't, he could even grab a point. It's doable. Vern is your leader. De La Rosa's second from Glock, Van Dorn and Lotterer. Now, 3 of the top 5 are coming into the pits in the next 10 laps. And they are, namely, Vern, De La Rosa and Van Dorn. Glock is going to keep going to the end of the race. I can't see for a moment how that strategy is going to work, because the car's going to be too heavy in the middle stint. In the second half of the race, the tyres are going to be worn to the bone as Rossi comes in from P6. The AGS car's running well. 5th and 6th, by the way. So a good double points barrel coming their way at the moment. But Vern is 1.2 ahead of De La Rosa. Glock is dropping back a little now. 3 seconds is now the gap. And then Van Dorn is a 1.5 seconds further back. Here's Marc Genet trying to lap Delatraz in the 40. And that's not really an issue for Marc Genet, the man who won the New Zealand Grand Prix at Taupo. But this is an absolutely fantastic race, and it just keeps getting better. We're approaching the half-distance point. In fact, this is the end of the half-distance lap. 41 laps completed, and into the pits come the Prost and the Simtech together. So De La Rosa in and Van Dorn in. Now this is going to be a critical pit stop for the race. Which way are they going to go? A long stop for De La Rosa. What about Van Dorn? What's he going to do? Is he going to go 3 stop? Or is he going to go 2? It's 2. So they're going to go for a long final stint. Basically, that was exactly what you do, I'll do as well. De La Rosa goes out, Van Dorn gets out. That's a good stop for the amount of fuel that went in, and Lotterer in as well. Lotterer in the pits as well. He's going to the end. So they clearly know something that we don't. Glock is able to keep going, in second place. Vern is going to come in, and I'm assuming he'll also go to the end of the race on his current fuel stop. But, well, fascinating situation. De La Rosa back out in third, getting up to speed. There's Van Dorn behind him. But they are out in third and fourth, so they still have a chance to win this one. And they have not lost a massive amount of ground. De Grassi's there in P5, the Brazilian, for the Manor team. Then it's Alguersuari, Ericsson, Wehrlein, Bourdais, and in 10th place is Scott Dixon. He's charged his way back. So the Simtek is back in the points from Lotterer, Rossi, Jenné, Heidfeld, Wolf, Hartley, Tarquini, Inui, Delatraz, and Bruno Senna as Jean-Eric Verne pits in from the lead. Now that is an important stop. So let's pick it up. Glock goes through in the lead. Verne going through to the end. Now he's going to fuel 1 lap less. But where is he going to pit out on circuit? That's the main thing. There's De La Rosa. And I think Verne is going to beat him out. Verne should beat De La Rosa out on track, but we'll have to double check. There is Verne at the first corner. Can he beat De La Rosa, who is up to full speed? Let's have a look and see as they come out. Verne is there in second place. Where is De La Rosa? In the pros. There he is. So Verne rejoins in second place. Now, Verne is going to be 23 points. What's happened to Glock? What's happened to Glock? Glock has disappeared. Glock has spun off. Glock has spun off. So Timo Glock has binned it. Absolutely incredible. Timo Glock is now out of this running for the victory. It was all hinging on that long stint, but he's binned it. And it's game over surely for Timo Glock. Well, he could get the car going again, but he's not going to get 3 wins in a row now. Ambitious for Timo Glock, but he's now out of the top 5. And that is devastating bad luck. Well, what's happened there for Timo Glock? It looks like he's stuck. He's going to fall out of the points here, just like his teammate Heidfeld. He's actually reversing to try and get back onto the racetrack. And Tarquini goes off again. Big off for Tarquini, and he rejoins right into the path of the 40. But Timo Glock is now out of this race, and it is a 3-car fight for the victory as Tarquini holds up the BAR of Pascal Wehrlein. Well, there is Timo Glock getting back onto the circuit, and as Ed Hunter points out, Glock's tyres must have dropped off the cliff. He's got to be careful getting back on, of course. He's got to do it when he's got clear track. But he has now recovered, but Timo Glock is out of the hunt for victory. And now Susie Wolf goes off! As Dave Goddard points out, has anyone not gone off now? Absolutely bizarre race. This is a tough circuit to get used to. There's been some good overtaking opportunities from several drivers in the field, but it's a tricky old racetrack, this one. And we did think coming into it that there were going to be some issues for the drivers. But now Jean-Eric Verne is leading. Second is De La Rosa. And there goes Susie Wolf off again. Surely she's got a problem, because the car is really struggling to stay on the racetrack. Meanwhile, Van Dorn is running in third place, having just lapped Bruno Senna. So Van Dorn is looking good for the podium today if he can just keep it together. Lotterer straight up the inside of Tarquini. And Tarquini does not give him the space. So he finally gets the job done. But Tarquini has just had a pit stop to change the front wing. And there goes Dixon making up another place. So that's Dixon into 8th now. Dixon is charging his way back. A much stronger race for Simtek this time, even though Dixon had his big off earlier on. But he's fought his way back, and he's now in P8. So Verne is your leader. De La Rosa's second. Oh, Timo Glock coming to an absolute stop at the first corner. What is going on? Timo Glock's got to pit, surely. It doesn't look like there's an issue, but I think he's got problems with the tyres. So Timo Glock clearly thinking he can make that go all the way, but not really having a great race of it at all. And Ed Hunter points out Tarquini seems to think he's driving a bucking Bronco rather than an F1 car. Meanwhile, De La Rosa is struggling for pace here. Oh, Susie Wolf is out. I did think there was a problem developing for Susie Wolf. Let's see if we can pick it up. Oh, Jean-Eric Verne followed in behind Susie Wolf. It was an engine failure, so she was obviously having a misfire. And so Susie Wolf out of the race. Disaster for the Lola. I could sense that there was definitely something not well with that Lola. And unfortunately now the team are out. They were looking good for the victory with Paul di Resta. But now Susie Wolf ends their day with an engine failure. The engine was misfiring, and that's why she was struggling to keep it on track. So Jean-Eric Verne leads by 1.7 seconds to this man. Pedro de la Rosa in second, and Stoffel Van Dorn is in third. Lucas de Grassi in P4. Then Jaime Alguersuari in fifth. Sixth is Ericsson. Seventh is Wehrlein. Eighth again is Dixon. Ninth is Bourdais. And 10th is Andre Lotterer. Then it's Rossi, Jenny, Heidfeld, Glock, Hartley, Inoue, Tarquini, Wolf and Senna. Delatraz and Senna, because Wolf is now out of the race. Pascal Wehrlein trying to make his bid to get up the inside of the Midland of Marcus Ericsson. This is the battle for 6th position. And they are stuck behind... it's the battle for 5th position, because they've got Jaime Alguersuari in front of them as well. So Alguersuari is actually holding them up a little bit. Alguersuari in 5th place, then Ericsson, then Wehrlein. These three together. And Rossi's got off. Rossi's had an off there. So I want to see what happened, but Alex Rossi looked like he had an incident. Let's see if we can pick it up on the highlights reel. But I think we had an off from Rossi. Maybe not a big enough one. Yep, there is Rossi. He just overshot at the first corner. That's what it was. At turn 2, sorry. But got it together again. So an issue or two, but nothing major. As Verne leads De La Rosa and Van Dorn. There is the Simtek in 3rd position. And Rossi again locking up. This circuit is punishing the drivers big time here. I think it's more popular a venue than last time out at Helsinki, but certainly here in Chennai, there's been some real tough races for a few teams and a few drivers out there. But Verne is leading, De La Rosa 2nd, Van Dorn is 3rd, then de Grassi and Alguersuari. And we're on lap 46 out of 82. A very long race, this one. 82 laps of racing. As Tarquini continues to battle. There is the move from Andre Lotterer on the inside of Bourdais. And Ericsson has got up into 5th place, by the way. Ericsson has made the move on Alguersuari. Alguersuari coming back. There's yellow flags out. There's yellow flags out. And it's Ericsson. Ericsson's gone off. In his bid to go past, Ericsson has gone. He's got through into 5th position. Look, and the back end of the car just overtakes the front. And Ericsson bins it while in P5. So that is big drama. And poor Marcus Ericsson, having started from the back, he's now in exactly the same situation as Bruno Senna was in. Fighting his way from the back, got into a decent position, and then spun it. Well, this circuit is definitely taking its prisoners as Marcus Ericsson tries to get back on track. Now he's going to have to spin turn the car into the wall. That's not been well handled by Marcus Ericsson. But the race is going to need to continue regardless. There goes Heidfeld through into 12th place. And, well, it's a rather embarrassing day at the office for Marcus Ericsson and Bruno Senna then. They fight back from their grid penalties and bin it. But this man is going full guns. Stoffel Van Dorn in 3rd position. But that spin from Ericsson means that his teammate has moved up another place as well. He's up to 7th place now. And Lotterer pits in from P9. So Verne is out in front. De La Rosa in 2nd. Van Dorn is 3rd. Pascal Wehrlein in P6 in the BAR. And Topher Smith has made a very interesting comment. He says, I think Ericsson hit Ericsson. Is that coming back to Baku, I wonder? Well, Pascal Wehrlein is in 5th position. The BAR driver finally looking for his first points for a long, long time. And Stoffel Van Dorn, oh, a bit of an issue there under brakes. He just ended up having a moment. But fortunately, he seems to be getting back up to speed again. He can't afford to have any more mechanical problems this season, Marcus Ericsson. Stoffel Van Dorn. He's already had them all. But Verne leads De La Rosa by 3.2 seconds. Van Dorn is 3rd with 7.9 trailing. But the top 3 are all going to the end. And Lucas de Grassi in 4th position is closing up on them. Now, I think actually de Grassi is on a lighter fuel load than these guys. De Grassi has caught them up pretty rapidly. But he needs to make another stop. I'm fairly certain. Yes, he does. So de Grassi is going to need to pit again. So the likes of Verne, De La Rosa and Van Dorn saw the way the wind was blowing when Glock made his pit stop, saw what the other teams were doing and went, do you know what? Let's fuel and tyre to the end and just look after the cars. And it seems to have been the right call because they're going to get out with de Grassi having to pit again. Wehrlein's probably got to have to pit in again. So a fascinating situation, but the leaders reading the situation of the race quite dramatically. They have to read the situation as it goes, of course, and then make a tactical decision. But what a race it's turning out to be here in India. Jean-Eric Verne leads. A fabulous run. Here comes de Grassi. Round the outside, he's in 4th position, and he makes the move there. Round the outside of the 40. Bravery from Degrassi, but then he does have a pit stop coming up, so he needs to make use of this opportunity. And he's coming into the pits on this lap, Lucas Degrassi, so we'll join him as he comes through that final turn. And into the pit lane comes the Brazilian Lucas Degrassi from P4. Now this is going to be all the way to the flag. So yep, 36 laps worth of fuel goes in according to the digital readout. And so the car will get out onto the circuit outside the top 5, but still with a decent result in the bag coming the way of Manor. As Stoffel Van Dorn continues on in 3rd place in the Simtek. Pascal Wehrlein struggling there in 4th position as he decelerates through the corner, but he is in P4, and then he's got the 2 Prosts there together, is that? Alguersuari. Oh no, sorry, that's Alguersuari and Dixon. Dixon is under pressure, is on the hunt now. So Dixon is up into P6. So great bit of work from Scott Dixon. What's the fuel load like? Well, he's about to come into the pits himself, in fact. But this is a good comeback from the Kiwi. Multiple IndyCar champion, of course, as well, Scott Dixon. So he knows how to get himself out of a tight spot. So you never know what happens. Now, Remco van Engelen has been watching the race very closely. Maybe you should be a team manager one day, Remco. Heidfeld could be a surprise today because of the drivers in front of him making some mistakes. He's got a good point, actually, because Heidfeld is there in, what, 11th place now? He could still get a point out of this. And because of a couple of the leaders retiring, he's no longer a lap down. So there is still a chance for Heidfeld, but he's got some massive pressure now from Andre Lotterer in the AGS. So Andre Lotterer trying to come through. It's not going to be so easy to see if that works. Della Rosa has just lapped Bruno Senna as Degrassi makes his bid on the inside there. And Degrassi gets through on the slower car, and Scott Dixon pits in from P6. So Dixon comes into the pits. Now, that's going to be to the end of the race. There's no question about that. But where will Dixon get out? That's critical. Rossi goes through. Marc Genet will go through. But I think Dixon is going to rejoin in the points. So it could be a double points haul for Simtek. Scott Dixon has made a massive amount of progress in this race. And yes, indeed, he rejoins in 10th place. So the 2 Simteks at the moment, I don't want to jinx it, and I'm tapping wood, are looking for a double points finish. 7 retirements. A lot of mistakes in this race, but 7 retirements. Heidfeld and Lotterer are outside the points in 11th and 12th. Andre Lotterer, the winner at Marrakesh, don't forget. And Andre Lotterer hoped for a few more good fortunes than this. But ever since Marrakesh, the team have really struggled to keep up. Their early point score has definitely given them some advantages, but they've really struggled to make ends meet. Stoffel Van Dorn in 3rd place, 10 seconds off the lead. But you don't need to be that far off the lead, you just need to bring it in the podium. And Van Dorn has yet to get a podium this year. Dixon got one at Pau, and that's Della Rosa losing track position to Bruno Senna. Bruno Senna has unlapped himself from the heavily fueled Della Rosa. Well, that's a bit of a turn up for the books, and I have a feeling that Ryan Ferris may be having a word with Tom Cairns later. What? You were in 2nd place, we need to get back into the hunt. Yes, but you were 4 laps down, mate. Not the point, we were the faster car. Well, Jean-Eric Verne continues to lead here at Chennai. And Lucas Degrassi now making his bid to get back into 6th position up the inside there of the Onyx. And gets through on Sebastian Bourdais. Not a bad run. Now Marcus Ericsson comes into the pits from what is P14. And Bruno Senna! Keep it on the racetrack, matey boy. Goodness me. And now it's Groundhog Day for Della Rosa as he has to lap Bruno Senna again. He dives for the inside. Senna is not letting him have the moment. Della Rosa tries again. And Bruno Senna is just refusing to give way. Surely he's in danger of running the wrath of the stewards for not moving out of the way. But now he does. Della Rosa gets through. Gesticulating wildly, I'm sure, Bruno Senna as Pascal Wehrlein pits in. Wehrlein pits in from P4. Now, he was going to be the biggest threat to Van Dorn's podium, but he now needs to pit as well. He goes late into the pits, and he drops behind Alguersuari and Degrassi. Now, what about Alguersuari? I'm fairly sure the Prost needs to pit in again. Oh, no, he does not. So, if it stays like this, that's the way it's going to run to the flag. Unless, of course, there are a few more surprises along the way. We are on lap 52 of 82. So at the end of this one, there'll be 30 laps to go, and then it becomes a race of survival, of nurture, of looking after the car, just keeping it together. Well, with 30 laps to go, I think it's worth heading down into the pit lane and having a word with our managers, who have obviously been watching this race with bated breath in the hope that they're going to get a decent result out of it. So let's see if we can have a word with a few of the drivers. A few of the managers, I should say. Yeah, Phil Kinch at AGS, obviously lamenting the lack of blue flags in the race. Bruno Senna pits in on that note. Phil Kinch, how are things going? Because the AGS cars have been able to run in the top 10 for a lot of the day. And considering how things are going, there could be a double points finish for the team.
I'm not going to complain if that happens. We've obviously still got a good 29, 30 laps to go. We'll see what happens, but I am happy that they've been able to show some good pace. We have been fortunate because of other retirements, but we're there. We're going to keep going. But those blue flags really need to be waving. Some of these guys are just not getting out of the way.
Oh, sorry. I need to duck out again because I've noticed something, and it's Van Dorn now up to second, I do believe. Van Dorn is now second. Yes, De La Rosa is third. De La Rosa made a mistake. Now, where did that happen? Yeah, he spun it. De La Rosa spun. De La Rosa spun, and that's enough for Van Dorn to slip into second position now. So Stoffel Van Dorn is now second. A big moment there. Well, that's critical for the Simtech team and Scott Woodwis. Stoffel Van Dorn now up into second position. So, big drama in the race then, as Pedro De La Rosa keeps it going, but in third position now. Wow. That's big drama to occur right in front of us. And it's going to be a very tough race from here on in, that's for sure. Bruno Senna just missing a gear as he gets down the shifts. But with 30 laps to go, there's still an awful lot going on in this race. Let's have a word with Topher Smith of the Super Aguri team. Topher, this race was a bit of a strategic one for you guys. You decided to gamble on the strategy to go long into the race, but Timo just couldn't hang on to a car with old tyres. Are you disappointed with the way it's worked out?
Well, I wasn't at all disappointed with the strategy. I still think it was the right call to go for the one stop and nurse the car to the end. But Timo, he just simply pushed too hard. He wanted it a bit too much. I'm not going to fault him for that. He was trying to win the race. And yeah, these things happen. I'm not mad with him. He just simply made an error. And now he's doing his best to get back up into the points.
And both cars are still going at the moment, 12th and 13th. So if any more drop out in front, then it still could be two cars in the points.
Well, let's wait and see what happens. I'm not going to make any predictions for that.
Okay, thanks, Topher. One more word I think we've got time for, and we'll talk to Tom Cairns. Tom, De La Rosa is in the hunt for the victory. He's just had that little bit of an error, but we've got De La Rosa third and Alguersuari fourth. Is this finally going to be a double result for Prost?
I hope so too. I'm just looking at the times at the moment because De La Rosa was taking some time out of Vern's advantage over everyone else actually. So I think once Van Dorn gets onto the back of him, he's going to end up losing time being stuck behind him. And De La Rosa will all of a sudden close right in on them. So it's far from over as far as I'm concerned, but it's not a good thing to see De La Rosa making a mistake like that. But having said that, Alguersuari made a mistake earlier. So I think with third and fourth, I'd be happy with that. But I think given what's going on at the moment and the mistakes and the failures that everyone's been having at the moment, we've got to take every chance possible if we want to get the best result really out of today's event here in India.
Yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable, Tom. Thanks very much, and good luck for the last part of the race. Well, I have to say, it's a very fascinating race indeed here at India. Pedro De La Rosa making the mistake and now dropping back to third, but considering that both Prosts have made the mistake now, they are still in third and fourth. That really does show you the competitive pace of the Prost here in the Downforce Grand Prix World Series. They really have put on a bit of a show here, and despite their errors, they are going very well. An opportunity to thank our many partners who have been supporting us through thick and thin, and certainly through COVID-19, still with us. To Scale Extric, who have been a massive source of support. To Advanced Construction Scotland, they are still giving us plenty of motivation and encouragement. Trade Price Cars, we really hope their race goes. Oh, Tarquini pulling off. Tarquini with a gearbox failure. He's had all sorts of problems, and now Gabriele Tarquini out of the race. He clearly didn't like me plugging, so Tarquini decided to throw some action in and retire from the race. So Gabriele Tarquini in the BMS Italia is now out, I'm afraid. So that's game over for Tarquini. But no, a massive thanks. We also wanted to thank Heel Tread, the sock makers from Portugal, who make the best socks in the world. Oh, hang on a minute. That is Stoffel Van Dorn in behind Ericsson. Ericsson seems to have unlapped himself. A massive thank you as well to iRacing, and also to Motorsport Days Live, and to our good friends at Stopwatch Hospitality. In fact, the Stopwatch Hospitality Crew's CEO, Paul Clark, is actually going to be one of the managers in the Group C Challenge. We're really looking forward to his patronage, and we really enjoyed the quiz last night as well. That was really good fun, and not just because a fat, loud bloke won it. I wouldn't describe myself in that manner at all. I don't know what you're saying. Jean-Eric Verne leads the way. Van Dorn in second. De La Rosa third from Alguersuari and De Grassi. And then it is Wehrlein in sixth position. Behind Wehrlein it's Bourdais, then Rossi, Dixon and Marc Genet. And then it is Andre Lotterer in 11th place from Heidfeld and Glock. And then Ericsson is 14th from Inouye, Hartley, Delatraz and Bruno Senna. The retirements are Gabriele Tarquini, Susie Wolf, Paul Di Resta, Pedro Diniz, Kamui Kobayashi, James Courtney, Anthony Davidson and Nico Hulkenberg. And the first one was Hulkenberg, and very dramatic too, because he was leading when the engine blew on only lap 3. Edward Hunter says, I can't wait to take on Paul with my Jags. You're going to have a lot of fun. Tomorrow we will, of course, announce who is going to be managing which team in the second tier. The Class A races entry list has already been confirmed and decided. And while we're waiting for the next massive drama in the race, because it doesn't take long for the drama to unfold in this championship, it would be great to talk you through the runners and riders that are going to be in Group C starting from tomorrow. The live draw will take place. Whoops, Jean-Eric Verne making a very rare mistake in front of Stoffel Van Dorn. I think Scott Woodwis broke into a proper sweat then, because that was a very good chance that he might have been able to take the lead of the race there, but Verne keeps it together. Well, in the Group C Challenge, the Minecraft of Motorsport management game from the Retro Racing Management League run by Downforce Racing, we're going to see some great teams and great drivers. Oh, Pascal Wehrlein spins it! Pascal Wehrlein spins it out of 6th position, and no major problem, but other than Wehrlein making a driver mistake. Another error there for Pascal Wehrlein. He's had a few of those over the last couple of races. Still hasn't quite been able to get this car up to speed, and that promotes Rossi. Also promotes Bourdais, so Bourdais up to 6th, Rossi up to 7th, Dixon up to 8th, Marc Genet up to 9th place. More points for Minardi then, and Andre Lotterer back into 10th position as Wehrlein drops out of the top 10, and Timo Glock is out! Timo Glock is out! What's happened to Glock? Wehrlein's had a problem, but Glock has had a gearbox failure. Ah, Timo Glock, another race leader, out! He was 13th at the time, this time, but it's game over for Timo Glock then. So we've lost Glock from the race, and we might be about to lose Wehrlein as well, who's now been lapped, having spun off the road. There is Wehrlein still trying to get going again. Hang on a second. Pascal Wehrlein going the wrong way, trying to get back on the circuit. Pascal, the racetrack's the other way, mate. Well, he's figured that out, but it's not a very graceful manner. He drops to 13th place as a result of that. Alex Goldschmidt has tried to put me off on commentary by referring to me as Lord Hesketh. I'm not quite as glamorous as that. Bless you all. Well, I was going to talk to you about the Group C drivers and teams, as Taki Inouye misses a gear in the chicane. And the Group C Challenge, Group A, Class A I should say, the first tier, is going to be consisting of the following teams and drivers. Tom's Toyota is going to be headed up by Augusto Farfus, Nicolas Lapierre and Richard Westbrook. The team being captained by Phil Kinch. It'll be really interesting to see how they go, and that's quite a strong lineup as Alguersuari keeps pushing in 4th place. The Sauber Mercedes team, well, that'll be part of the Manor Group. And Sauber Mercedes will have Jensen Button, Alexander Premat and Lucas de Grassi within the team. That's one heck of a lineup. Then you've got Peugeot Sport, which will be captained by Scott Woodwis, and what a lineup he's gone for. Juan Pablo Montoya, Stefan Sarrazin, and Jose Maria Lopez. That is one heck of a lineup. For Conrad Lamborghini, it's going to be Scott Dixon, James Collado, and Paul Di Resta. So that'll be a nice lineup there at Conrad Lamborghini. And at TWR Jaguar, we're going to see Mike Conway, Frank Montagny, and Alexander Sims. That's the team run by Edward Hunter. At BRM, which is going to be Tom Cairns' operation, that will see Nigel Mansell, Sam Bird and Oliver Jarvis in the team. That's one heck of a combination. Nigel Mansell hopefully looking to redeem himself after his trials and tribulations at Le Mans a few years ago. Then at Nissan Competition, run by Alex Goldschmidt, we're going to see Nick Katzberg, Felipe Albuquerque and Philip Eng. And that's quite a decent lineup too. At Mazda Speed, which will be captained by Ryan Ferris, we'll see Kamui Kobayashi, Keiichi Tsuchiya and Bruno Senna. So that'll be a nice lineup. TWR's USA Jaguar team, the junior wing if you like, although it seems like it's the Golden Oldies team, the senior brigade, run by Dave Goddard, is going to see one heck of a team as Heidfeld makes the move on the inside of Inouye. It's going to see Raoul Boisel, Perry McCarthy and Sebastian Loeb. What a team. At Yost Porsche, run by Steve Briggs, we're going to see Pedro Lamy, Simon Pagenaud and Nicolas Manassian. And that's one heck of a lineup. Martini Lancia Racing is going to see a very competitive lineup as well for Mark Webber, Darren Turner and Gian Maria Bruni. And All-American Racers Toyota will see Nicky Thiem, Tom Dillman and Kevin Estra. And then the Repsol Brunn Porsche squad will see three absolute legends of the sport. Mario Andretti, Bernd Schneider and Rubens Barrichello. I can't wait for this season to get started. And that's just Class A. I can't wait to see which teams are going to be managed by which of our 13 pooled managers in Class B. And of course the top three teams from Class B will then be progressing through to Class A the next race. The bottom three teams from Class A will be demoted to Class B after each race. So there is promotion and relegation included in the battle as well. So an absolutely fascinating battle. Pedro de la Rosa in behind Stoffel van Dorn. In third position, the Spaniard. And Marc Genet overshooting in the Minardi, going off from 10th position, and he saves it. Well saved by Marc Genet. Well, we're on lap 61 of 82, 21 laps to go. And it was always going to be a tough battle, but they are definitely saving their bacon more times than not at this precise moment in time. So we're going to see some really exciting battles. It's David Junt who's running the Repsol Brunn Porsche team, of course, with Andretti, Schneider and Barrichello. And Ben Haxon is going to be the man behind Conrad Lamborghini, with Dixon, Collado and D'Aresta. Scott Dixon now up to 7th place and going very well in the Simtech. Carter McColeman is looking after the All-American Racers Toyota operation with Team Dillman and Estra. And Ewan Gale has stepped in to manage the Martini Lancia Racing squad for Webber, Turner and Bruni. So we're really excited to see the talent both on the pit wall and off it. And what a battle it's going to be. I can't wait for Group C to get underway. It will start for you guys watching at home on Monday, although you can join us, of course, for our live stream tomorrow to see the pools of managers get given their allotted teams, and all of the teams will be given their 4th mystery driver from the world of Hollywood. And a few managers have already decided to put their drivers into have already signed their drivers, no matter which team they're going to be running. So Senna Stoffmehl has signed up 3 big names. René Rast, Nelson Piquet Sr. and Jacques Villeneuve. Oh, and that's De La Rosa going off! De La Rosa goes off from 3rd! Oh dear, now what happened there? Because he had pressure from Heidfeld. Heidfeld, who is a lap down, don't forget. I want to see what happened between these two. Did Heidfeld... No, there was no contact. No contact at all. De La Rosa just lost the car altogether. So it was De La Rosa's own mistake there. I wondered for a moment if there was contact from Heidfeld, but there was none at all. So De La Rosa rejoins, and incredibly, still in 3rd, has not lost the place to his teammate Alguersuari. So this man, Van Dorn, just continues trucking on in 2nd place, as Dixon tries to close up on Sebastien Bourdais. So I was talking about the Group C managers in Class B, that we know which drivers they've signed. Senna Stoffmehl has signed Jacques Villeneuve, Nelson Piquet Sr. and René Rast for his team. Dan Blake has signed his drivers for the new campaign as well. Heinz-Harald Frentzen, Anthony Davidson and Martin Plowman will be his drivers for the upcoming campaign. My apologies. Dan Blake has actually chosen to sign Nicolas Prost for his coming campaign, alongside Heinz-Harald Frentzen and Martin Plowman, because Georgis Pliska has signed up his 3 drivers, Nick Heidfeld, Anthony Davidson and Pastor Maldonado. So he's going to be in the field. And we're still waiting on a few more to announce theirs. I think one of the latest team managers in the list, John Munro, has announced his particular drivers. He's going to go with James Weaver, Oliver Gavin, and Marino Franchitti. Had to go for a Scot, didn't he? Absolutely. So it's going to be really exciting battles. So let's see how the drivers go in this final phase of the race. Let's see how battling is going to go for the last 20 laps of this race. Jean-Eric Verne leads the way by 15 seconds to Stoffel Van Dorn in second place. Then third is De La Rosa, just in front of his teammate Jaime Alguersuari after another off. De Grassi is in fifth position, and you're looking at him now in the manner in fifth place. Bourdais is in sixth in front of Scott Dixon in seventh. Then it is Rossi in front of Lotterer and Marc Genet. Ericsson is 11th. Heidfeld is 12th. Then it's Wehrlein, Inouye, Hartley, Delatraz and Senna. Everyone else is out. Timo Glock, Gabriele Tarquini, Susie Wolf, Paul Di Resta, Pedro Diniz, Kamui Kobayashi, James Courtney, Anthony Davidson and Nico Hulkenberg. And 4 of those drivers retired, having led the race at one stage. Kobayashi, Hulkenberg, Di Resta and Glock. The only other man to have led the race at any point is Jean-Eric Verne. And he is the man currently leading. Oh, Ericsson's in trouble. Ericsson's had an engine failure. Well, that's Marcus Ericsson's run for the points gone. So an engine failure for Marcus Ericsson, and he is out. There's nothing he can do about that, and his car is going to be recovered to pretty much exactly the same place on the circuit as Anthony Davidson's Minardi. Well, big difficulty there. And unfortunate for the Midland team, but Jean-Eric Verne still leads the way in front of Stoffel Van Dorn and Pedro de la Rosa. Jaime Alguersuari and Lucas Di Grassi in fifth. A fascinating top 5 at the moment as Jean-Eric Verne continues to lead. Marc Genet is a lap down, but still in 10th position in the Minardi, and that's enough to get a point in the bag. But can Jean-Eric Verne extend his lead in the Drivers' Championship even further in front of Stoffel Van Dorn in the Simtek? And there is a lot of prayer going on down the pit lane, particularly at Simtek. The highest finish they've ever had is second. They had it back at Po. But Stoffel Van Dorn is in second at the moment. De La Rosa's in third, and he could use a result here. Third position would more than do, considering how unlucky he's been of late. But now he is going to have some trouble with some traffic up the road, as he's got Wehrlein and Bourdais, I think that is, up in front. No, sorry, that's not Bourdais, that's Bruno Senna. So Bruno Senna up the road, and he is still battling away, incredibly. He's in 15th position now as Bruno Senna. So the battle continues, but Jean-Eric Verne, this man, is leading the race. Van Dorn is 17 seconds back with 18 laps to go. And that's Alex Rossi. What's he doing? He nearly messes up into the final corner, just manages to save it. But here at the Irungattokatai circuit, the Madras Motorsports Club at Chennai in India, this is turning into quite the thriller of a race. It's been a thriller since the start, and it just keeps getting better. It's one of those races, very similar to Kyalami, where there is drama left, right and centre. But Jean-Eric Verne is just ticking on nicely. Could he be about to get his third win of the season, which would almost certainly guarantee him a run at the title with the final 5 races still to go? It's looking more and more likely for the BAR team and for Jean-Eric Verne to clinch the race win for the 3rd time this year. And there's Pascal Wehrlein, his teammate, nearly dropping it in the final bend. Now that's going to hold up several people. In fact, here comes De La Rosa, now lapping Bruno Senna and the 40. So he comes through, and Pascal Wehrlein, having had 5th position at one stage in the race, all pretty much sewn up, but then he dropped it. Now De La Rosa's trying to lap him and does so. So Pascal Wehrlein has to let De La Rosa go. It was the only sporting thing to do. Meanwhile, Bruno Senna is having all sorts of fun. There goes Alguersuari to lap him. Alguersuari through in 4th place. But Verne leads Van Dorn. De La Rosa, Alguersuari and Di Grassi. In 6th place it is Sebastien Bourdais. Just a whisker now in front of Scott Dixon. Dixon's trying to go for P6. Then it's Rossi, Lotterer and Marc Genet. So let's look at the Simtek in 2nd place. That's Stoffel Van Dorn, chasing after the Super Aguri of Nick Heidfeld to put a lap on him. And that will be the first time he's lapped Heidfeld. Whoops, a daisy, Pedro! Keep it going. He was lucky there. He got away with that one again. But that could have been very nasty indeed from his point of view. But still, the race continues to tick on, and it's fascinating with every twist and turn, every roll of the dice. It just gets more and more entertaining. So the battle continues, and the racing is just going to get more and more frenetic from here on into the end of the race, as drivers are trying to let their cars just coax home, essentially. A lot of them are coaxing their cars home. It's not done yet by any means, and they all know how tricky it's going to be. So the battle continues on as the drivers continue. And there's only about only 16 laps to go now. And there is De La Rosa, having lapped Pascal Wehrlein. 3rd and 4th for Prost. That'll be a big points haul, and they needed it. De Grassi in 5th. 6th place for Bourdais. 7th place for Dixon. 8th for Rossi. 9th for Lotterer. 10th for Chennai. But several drivers queuing up for the final point. So this is an absolute thriller. Tom Butterworth making a point. He can't quite understand why Pascal Wehrlein keeps going off. Is there a slight issue for the drivers? They must have a couple of problems coming. But this is obviously a very tricky and treacherous situation for the drivers. They need to keep hungry. They need to keep the faith. So the battle continues, going on and on and on. Verne, Van Dorn, De La Rosa, Alguersuari, De Grassi. De Grassi is actually catching Alguersuari pretty quickly now because he's obviously got fresher tyres and about the same fuel load. Tom Cairns getting quite irritated with the drivers in the field, blue flags, as Delatraz finally gets out of the way. That's very appropriate timing for Tom Cairns, as Alguersuari finally does get past Delatraz. And he will be frustrated because De La Rosa, if you look a little way behind, there is the manor. Oh, we switched to De La Rosa at the wrong moment there. I was going to show you that Alguersuari's not got a massive gap back to Lucas de Grassi, who is now just 1.9 back and catching. And Bourdais is only a couple of tenths of a second ahead of Scott Dixon. So Dixon is getting himself back into the fray with a potential top 6 finish on the march. But there's your race leader, Jean-Eric Verne. And Jean-Eric Verne continues to keep the pace. He's still got a good car underneath him. And he's looking good for win number 3 with 14 laps to go. Brendan Hartley dropping it on the way through the right-hander. The Kiwi goes off the circuit, but can he get going again? Well, unfortunately now he can't just get back on the circuit willy-nilly. He's got to wait for the queue of cars to go through. And that in front of us was the battle between Bourdais and Dixon. I want to follow this for a little bit because Scott Dixon has caught right up to the back of Sebastian Bourdais. And I have to say, this is quite the comeback for Scott Dixon. He dropped it in the early stages trying to make up progress and ended up spinning to the back of the field. But his fight back to 7th has been absolutely tremendous. Really good stuff. So the battle continues on its way through the right-hander. And now the battle will continue to progress. In through the right, in through the left. And still, this battle is causing an issue. And in fact, the 40 in front of Sebastian Bourdais is causing a proper headache because that's backing him into Scott Dixon. And Dixon could seize a chance here and go for the overtaking move. I thought he was going to have a look at it into the left-hander there, but he thought better of it. Dixon's just biding his time. He's got plenty of time in this race to get a decent result in the board. Bourdais having a go at the 40. Drifts wide. Oh, Dixon had to hesitate there. But still, no blue flags for those 40s. I guess the Indians are not quite up to date with their flag waving as marshals yet. But Dixon again follows in behind. Oh, Heidfeld's gone off. Heidfeld's gone off. So that has definitely not helped. Now he's half on track, half off it. So there will be plenty of yellow flags, but Heidfeld now gets back on circuit and he's actually facing the wrong way. So he's had to try and spin turn the car back into position again. He's now reversing. Here's Van Dorn. He can see where Heidfeld's car is. Oh, he's off to the left there. You can just about make it out. So Heidfeld reversing back on circuit. And, well, it's been a lackluster... Oh, come on, Nick. Sort it out. He very nearly binned it again, just trying to get back onto the circuit again. But Heidfeld continues as we watch the race leader, Jean-Eric Verne, in the BAR. So Verne leads, Van Dorn second, De La Rosa third from Alguersuari, De Grassi, Bourdais and Dixon. A fascinating battle here in India as the field continues to put itself through its paces. There's De La Rosa. in front of Pascal Wehrlein's BAR to have lapped him. And we're on lap 71 of 82. We're in the closing stages of this race. There is Van Dorn in second in the Simtek. A beautiful race from Van Dorn. He's not really pushed any harder than he had to. He's had a little trip off the circuit, but barely even really to cause an issue. And the Simtek team have had their moments in this race, but they're there or thereabouts. Bruno Senna's had more than enough moments in this race, and he was about to have another one. He's keeping going, though, because from his point of view, a point is a point, and if he's still classified as a finisher, even though he's 4 laps down, if he finishes 10th, it's still enough for a point. So Verne is ahead of Van Dorn by 20 seconds. De La Rosa 3rd, Alguersuari 4th, De Grassi in 5th place. And then in 6th is Bourdais, just half a second now in front of Scott Dixon. And then it is Rossi, Lotterer and Marc Genet, the last point scorer in front of Wehrlein. Taki Inui's 12th. Oh, Alguersuari's just damaged his front wing. Oh, Alguersuari pushing too hard. He's damaged the front wing. Now, he's already done that once today, and he's done it again. Exactly a carbon copy of the earlier incident from Alguersuari. And that's going to cost him 4th place. Now, looking at the gap behind to De Grassi, to Bourdais and Dixon, that's going to move them all up a place. Alguersuari's going to have to pit in, and he'll rejoin in 7th place. And that's Jean-Eric Verne. Verne's going off! The leader, Jean-Eric Verne, goes off! Oh dear, Verne is pushing it. Has he got a problem developing? Oh, goodness me. Hearts were aflutter at BAR and Simtek there. But Jean-Eric Verne remains in the lead. That will have cost him a few seconds, but he'll still be leading the race. But the question is that going to turn into something else? But even the race leader, Jean-Eric Verne, is not averse or immune to mistakes. Dear oh dear, this race has got more thrills and spills than I ever anticipated it would. And Alguersuari makes the run to the pit lane. The run of shame as he comes in, unfortunately. Bourdais and Dixon go through to battle for 5th position now as Alguersuari pits in and is now 7th. But Rossi should get in front of him as well, I think. Rossi's going to fly past the pits. There he goes. So Rossi is through to 7th place past Alguersuari. And Lotterer may have a chance to come through as well, although not quite. Alguersuari rejoins in 8th. Lotterer is 9th, and Rossi goes off now! Alex Rossi's just got out of place, but now he's got to let Alguersuari and Lotterer through. Oh, well, all that hard work of getting back into 7th place is undone by Rossi. Such drama in this race. Absolutely fantastic. Tom Butterworth asking, do heel tread do boxer shorts? I need a new pair. Not yet, they don't. They certainly do good socks, though. That's not a bad idea for a pair of socks, actually, is it? Blue and yellow on one sock and red and white on the other for BAR. I'll have to recommend it to them. But Gonçalo and the boys in Portugal, I wonder if they're watching along. Great to see how their racing is still very much beloved by everybody. And some great battles for all of the competitors here in the Downforce Grand Prix World Series. A magic run, an absolutely magic performance so far as well from this man, who is currently running in 2nd place, Stoffel Van Dorn. Still just keeping it honest at the moment. He can't afford to do himself out of too much of an issue. What's happened to Bourdais? What's happened to Bourdais? Bourdais gone. Bourdais seems to have fallen away from the hunt. So Bourdais is off the circuit, I do believe. Bourdais had a problem. He's had a front nose cone problem. So Bourdais made the mistake. He's now in the pits with a broken front wing. Well, that is an absolutely bizarre situation. 7.4 seconds for the stop for Bourdais, but it gifts 5th place to Scott Dixon. Well, it looks like it's going to be a very prosperous race for Simtek in 2nd and 5th. That will be their best ever race of the season. Stopwatch Hospitality's Paul Clark is watching along again. Is the heat causing mirages of where the track is? Quite possibly. As Bourdais cuts right across on Van Dorn. And Stoffel Van Dorn will be absolutely fuming at Bourdais. He gets through. Oh, and Bourdais promptly goes off the circuit. Oh, a big run in the air for Bourdais. He's literally just had a pit stop for that. And he's done it again. 2 consecutive laps for Bourdais. Are they going to have any front wings left? That is such a bizarre situation. And Van Dorn, he'll be hopping mad in 2nd place. Bourdais holding him up. And then, well, fortunately for him, Bourdais promptly binned it. I'm guessing in exactly the same place that he dropped it a lap ago. As Alguersuari sets the new fastest lap of the race. So Jaime Alguersuari driving angry, trying to get himself back into a decent position again. Sets the new fastest lap of the race. Topher Smith is not only the manager of Super Aguri, but he's also our statistician. He developed our Downforce Retro Racing Management League wiki for us. We're very, very grateful to him for that. And he'll be taking a note that Alguersuari is currently the fastest man on track, because he'll get the bonus point for it if he keeps it that way. He's in 6th at the moment. Lotterer is 7th. Rossi is 8th from Chennai and Bourdais. But Bourdais, I'm fairly sure, with that pit stop for a front wing, is going to hand 10th place to Wehrlein ahead of Hartley and Inouye. So the race still goes on. Stoffel Vandoorne has lost a few seconds getting stuck behind Bourdais, but crucially, he remains in 2nd place on lap 75 out of 82. De La Rosa is 3rd. De Grassi is 4th. There's Alguersuari pushing very hard, trying to get another point for the fastest lap, which he's done, but he's trying to get himself back on terms with Scott Dixon. What a race. What a race it has been at Irangatu Katai in India. It's been a tough old race. They've really had to work hard for it. But so far, it's coming the way of BAR and Jean-Eric Vergne for the 3rd time this year. Vandoorne is 2nd. This would be an amazing result. Pedro de la Rosa in 3rd would finally be a podium for Pedro de la Rosa. He's deserved it all year long. He's had 2 races get away from him while leading. And de la Rosa has been one of the stars of the season. But he's not had the points on the board to show for it. I think if you asked all the team managers who the top 5 drivers of the year would be, de la Rosa would probably be in everybody's list, because he's been that strong over the course of the year. And Vandoorne is doing an absolutely fantastic battle. So this is an absolutely fantastic run. So let's see how it goes for the remainder of this race. We've only got 7 laps to go. And Jean-Eric Vergne is on lap 76 of 82. 22 seconds ahead of Stoffel Vandoorne. They'll be a little bit frustrated not to win, but they've definitely come closer than ever before this time. And Lucas Di Grassi there in 4th place. Well, has he got a problem developing, or was that just a missed gear? I think it was just a missed gear, to be fair. So the Brazilian running in 4th place, having a good run. Here's the leader, Jean-Eric Vergne. Oh, there's Bourdais again! That's the 3rd time for Sebastien Bourdais. Unbelievable! 3 times Bourdais has binned it now. That is one of the most embarrassing races I've ever seen from him. He rejoins, but he's definitely out of the points now. Heartbreak for Bourdais, and what on earth is he going to say to the boss afterwards? That is absolutely astonishing. So the battle is raging. And we've got Vergne in the lead, 22 seconds ahead of Vandoorne. Then De La Rosa is another 14 seconds back. 9 seconds further back is Di Grassi. Then it is Scott Dixon in 5th position, who is about 8 seconds ahead of Alguersuari. And then we've got Lotterer and Rossi battling for 7th place. So a tough old battle going on. Jean-Eric Vergne is now being frustrated by the AGS in front of him. Alex Rossi is causing a bit of a hold-up now to Jean-Eric Vergne. If you're Scott Woodwist, this is a wonderful sight. If you're Tom Butterworth, less so. And now Vergne is going to get there around the outside of the AGS, although, Alex Rossi's not making it easy for Vergne. And Vergne's got to be very careful to tread his way neatly past the AGS. He does so now, but a heart-stopping moment again for BAR on the course of their 3rd win of the year. They won at Bathurst. They won at round 6 of the championship as well later on in the season. So a fascinating battle. They won at Brno and they won at Bathurst. And now they're looking likely to win at Chennai. 22 seconds is the gap on lap 78 of 82. And to be fair to Jean-Eric Vergne, he's had a few mistakes of his own in this race, but boy has he been lucky to get himself back into a strong position and be there in the lead. When all around him had issues, the 2 arrows, Timo Glock, and of course Paul Di Resta, who led in the early stages. It was looking good for Lola to get their first win, but not to be, unfortunately. And here comes the man who is going to get the job done. Jean-Eric Vergne on lap 78. Just cruising home now. He's got 21 seconds on Stoffel Vandoorne, thanks to being held up a little bit by the AGS, but he doesn't need to panic. He's just keeping it nice and together. He doesn't have to panic at all here. Through the S's, through the right, and through into the left-hander comes Jean-Eric Vergne. De La Rosa is just about 13.3 seconds back from Stoffel Van Dorn in second place. De Grassi is fourth. Scott Dixon is fifth position. And that's an amazing comeback, having been last at one point. So Dixon driving beautifully today to come back to P5. So Jean-Eric Verne running very well indeed. Here comes Verne into turn 2, running well on lap 79. 4 to go for the BAR. And surely now this is just about ticking those boxes and cashing in those checks at the end of the race for the £1 million prize fund. There's always a £1 million prize fund for victory. So this is an absolutely brilliant run. Tom Butterworth defending Jean-Eric Verne. He says that form is temporary, class is permanent. And that's why he's top of the table. It's a fair comment. He has been very smooth and consistent over the course of the year. So hopefully he's going to be able to keep that going all the way through the year. Because he's only got 5 races to go. And this victory will put him head and shoulders above the rest of the championship field. Absolutely terrific run for Jean-Eric Verne as he continues his run. His 3rd win of the season is coming as he knits his way through. Absolutely fantastic run so far from all of the competitors still running. A few of them have had their dramas, a few of them have had their moments, but it's looking good for this one as the battle continues. There is Stoffel Van Dorn in second position in the Simtech, and he's running a very strong race here. Jaime Alguersuari trying to gain ground on Scott Dixon though, as Delatraz pits in. And I think that'll be the last pit stop of the race, surely, for Jean-Denis Delatraz. Why is he in the pits, actually? Oh, I think he had an issue with fuel loads or something along the lines of. I couldn't quite see what it was for Delatraz, but here comes Stoffel Van Dorn in second place. That's what he wants, a clear track in front of him and behind him, just to keep him ticking over smoothly. And he's got just 3 laps to go as, oh dear, Delatraz nearly sideswipe him on his way out of the pits. Chris Buxton writes in, does anyone else see the sponsor on the side of the AGS as failure? Dear oh dear, don't start saying things like that when they've got 2 cars in the points. 7th and 8th place for Lotterer and Rossi. Good competition from Chris Buxton. He is, of course, joining us. Oh, as Andre Lotterer goes a little bit wide. He is joining us, Chris Buxton, as we'll get the name King Kodiak in the Group C Challenge, starting from the live stream tomorrow. Be great to see him there. Alex Goldschmidt says that might also say fire. Failure, fire, frenetic is certainly the word I'd use to describe the AGS season. Stoffel Van Dorn still running strongly in second place. We should point out that the second running of the Downforce Grand Prix World Series, when this season is over, will not have 13 teams. It will have 26. And there will be 13 more teams added to the roster for managers to take over. And it will be a fantastic crop of teams as well. The entries, the teams that are going to be allowed to be entered in the second season are going to be Force India, HRT, Pacific, LaRousse, Fond Metal, Andrea Moda, Coloni, Eurobrun, Modena, Leighton House, Zach Speed, Real and Life, as Jean-Eric Verne pushes a little bit too hard there. Nearly loses the car altogether. And that's absolutely fascinating situation. But Verne is trying his best. Van Dorn in second place. De La Rosa, De Grassi and Dixon is the top 5. A minute between them all. But on lap 81 of 82, Jean-Eric Verne has timed his runs to perfection here, as Pedro De La Rosa continues on in third position. Worth going on board to see if anybody's nursing a problem to the end. Hopefully everybody is going okay. So far so good. And I think we're going to get some good fortune for the drivers still running in this one. It's about time some of them had some. But it's been an absolutely thrilling race. And so far, so good for everybody. Jean-Eric Verne goes into the final lap here at Chennai. The 10th round of the championship. He is leading the Drivers' Championship. He's had 2 wins already at Bathurst and Brno. And now he's going to make it a win at Irangatu-Katai on the Madras Motorsports Park here in Chennai in India. And an absolutely fascinating race it's been. Full of drama and chaos. The Arrows team both had their turn at the lead. Hulkenberg retiring on lap 3 with an engine failure. Kobayashi just 8 laps later with a gearbox issue. Timo Glock led for a time. He retired from the race with a gearbox problem. De Resta led for a time. He retired with a gearbox problem. Now it is Jean-Eric Verne who leads the way in front of Stoffel Van Dorn and Pedro De La Rosa. 2 men who've had their fair share of bad luck all season long, and they're finally going to reach the podium. Jean-Eric Verne's got traffic in front. If I were him, I'd just let them stay in front. There's no point overtaking them. But Jean-Eric Verne is going to make this a very measured run to the flag. And what a brilliant day it will be for the team with their third win of the season. He's only got one corner to negotiate. He is going to go up the inside of the AGS of Andre Lotterer, just for good measure. And the checkered flag is now his. The Grand Prix of Chennai is won by Jean-Eric Verne. Fantastic run. Lotterer and Rossi in the AGSs come home in 7th and 8th. Marc Genet brings a couple of points home for Bernardi in 9th and a lap down. But this man is going to be absolutely weeping in the car with relief and joy. Second position for Stoffel Van Dorn. At last, he's going to get a decent finish out of the final turn. And Stoffel Van Dorn comes second for Simtek. Brilliant result. They finally get what they deserve. A finish for Delatraz. He'll be happy. Heidfeld has got some explaining to do later down in 14th. And here's Pedro de la Rosa. Third position in the Prost. Brilliant. Brilliant result. Absolutely fantastic. Pascal Wehrlein gets the final point for BAR, so he does salvage something from this crazy race. Lucas Di Grassi in the Manor is going to come home in 4th position in front of the wayward Bruno Senna. And how about this for a comeback? Scott Dixon is going to come home in 5th, having dropped to the back. It's a double points finish for Simtek for the first time, I believe, this season. Brilliant. Hartley is 11th. Alguersuari fights back to 6th. And Bourdais will have to survive in 12th in front of Taki Inui. But what a race it's been. Absolutely brilliant. And as Edward Hunter says, come on, Waffle Van Dorn, Stoffel the Waffle comes home in 2nd place. Absolutely brilliant. An absolutely terrific performance from Jean-Eric Verne, though. For the 3rd time this season, he gets the win. Here's the confirmation. Jean-Eric Verne wins by 22 seconds to Stoffel Van Dorn. Pedro de la Rosa is 3rd from Lucas Di Grassi and Scott Dixon. Then it is Jaime Alguersuari from Lotterer and Rossi in the pair of AGSs from Marc Genet and Pascal Wehrlein. Brendan Hartley is 11th place in front of Sebastien Bourdais. Taki Inui is 13th in front of Nick Heidfeld. Jean-Denis Delatraz is 15th. Despite being 4 laps down, Bruno Senna is classified in 16th. And then come the 10 retirements. Marcus Ericsson, Timo Glock, Gabriele Tarquini and Susie Wolf. Then Paul Di Resta and Pedro Diniz, Kamui Kobayashi and James Courtney from Anthony Davidson and Nico Hulkenberg. And of course, the fastest lap of the race went to Jaime Alguersuari. What a brilliant race it's been here in Chennai, and an absolutely thrilling and fascinating battle it has been here on the Madras Motorsports Club Park circuit here at Irungatu-Kotai, just outside Chennai in India. Fascinating stuff. Let's head down to the pit lane and talk to a few of our team managers who are waiting with bated breath to talk after an absolutely thrilling race. Let's have a word then with a fair few of the drivers, a fair few of the team bosses as well. Let's talk to Tom Cairns first of all. Tom Cairns in 3rd position. It must be a sigh of relief for Pedro de la Rosa, finally getting the result he deserves.
You should see the look on his face as well. He's absolutely knackered as well by the end of it. Yeah, it was an excellent performance by Pedro. Really good job. I know he had those the couple of mistakes earlier. He lost 2nd position, but that's much better than retiring with a mechanical issue like he's had so much of this season. Alguersuari, I mean, despite losing 2 front wings, especially in the closing stages, still managed to bring the car home in P6, but he did set the fastest lap of the race anyways, which is a good result for Alguersuari. So that's our best result now. 3rd and 6th in the fastest lap. Working out the number of points for that, I think that's 24 points in total from this weekend in India, which is a massive boost for us. Now we just need to move it forward and get an even better result in Malaysia.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you very much, Tom. Great to talk to you. Let's have a chat with Phil Kinch. Double points finish for the AGS team. 7th and 8th place, considering all the dramas. That's a fair result for the team.
I'm not going to complain at that at all, to be honest, Jake. I'm really happy with a double points finish. Not too concerned about the fact that we're about a lap down off of the front runners, because at the end of the day, it's been a relatively high attrition race. So we will take no negatives from this. Again, like I said, we'll just sit there and pull the cars apart, check them over, make sure everything's all right, and have them ready for Malaysia. And there, hopefully, see if we can try and go from there. Qualifying doesn't seem to be our strong point. It's more race pace now. So yeah, we'll take the long game on each race and see what we can come back with.
Fantastic stuff. Double points for AGS. Congratulations. Well done. We can't hear from Tom Butterworth as yet. He is still too busy celebrating. So let's have a word with Alex Goldschmidt, if we can, having taken the two of the last few points for Minardi. It was a tough old race for the Minardi team, especially with Anthony Davidson retiring early, Alex, but Mark Genet doing what he does best and just bringing it home.
Yeah, we've just been really disappointed with another race which would have actually gone a bit better had both cars actually finished. So for both drivers, it's now DNFs apiece. But good to hear that good to see that Mark's managed to get a couple of points. It puts him really mathematically within a chance of getting the title, but just with the way things are, we're going to try and finish in the top three with him, hopefully, come the end of this season. I think for us, it's going to be a bit of a stretch now to try and push the car forward in development, both power and reliability. We're trying to do a mixture of the both, and whether we do one or the other, it seems not to go in our favour a little bit. And Mark's had a few offs. Anthony had a problem with the engine earlier on, and yeah, it's just disappointing, but we'll be back to fight another day for round 11.
Well, it's good to see how well he fought back into contention, so good job for the whole team. Let's have a word now with... actually, I do want to have a word with Topher Smith of the Super Aguri team. That's one of the stranger races for Super Aguri, because obviously the pace was there right from the start of qualifying. And whatever happened during the race, it just seemed as though the Super Aguri was never destined... Oh, he's actually left. My apologies. So Topher Smith unable to answer the question, unfortunately. Let's have a word with Ryan Ferris, always smiling and always cheerful. Ryan Ferris with the Onyx team. It's been... an interesting race, shall we say. A really disappointing end for Sebastian Bourdais, though, when there was a 5th position on offer. What happened?
I honestly don't know, to be honest. I think, we have to get both drivers to have a bit of a sit down and a chat about what's happened, because it kind of seemed as though that they thought they were entered into a slow bicycle race and not a Grand Prix today. But yeah, I think with the loss that we've had in points today and the gains that Prost and Simtek has made today, we've now dropped 2 positions in the championship, if my calculations are correct. So hopefully, maybe on the positive, we might get some balance of performance, prize money sort of thing that could help us get back to where we were come the start of the season. But yeah, really disappointing result today.
Okay, well, unfortunate, but hopefully the season will continue in the last 5 races in a prosperous manner. Good luck with it. Let's have a final word, I think, with Topher Smith, who has managed to make his way back in after slight connection difficulties. But that was a crazy race for many reasons, not just for Nick, but also for Timo. What do you put it down to when the pace was there in qualifying?
Well, with Timo, he just simply made a driver error. Like everyone saw, the tyres were going off. He pushed a bit too hard and went over the limit. I don't think there's really much more that I can say about that. It's just one of those days where it didn't really go our way. As for Nick, it was another race where the pace just didn't really seem to be there, and we don't really have an explanation for it. There have been some rumours regarding Nick's future with the team. He has been quite unhappy so far, and I think all that I can say at this moment in time is we might have some news for you coming up very soon.
Okay, well, we will leave that to everybody's imagination as we head to the next round of the championship, which is at Shah Alam in Malaysia, and that will be taking place on Wednesday of next week. It's a bit of a delay till the next race, but that, of course, is all down to the fact that Group C is kick-starting this weekend. And actually, on a final note, let's welcome one of our new managers to the fold in Group C and have a word with him as a nice little preview and a taster to tomorrow. Edward Hunter has been watching along and is going to be one of the new team managers for the Group C Challenge. Ed, you're going to be taking part in the championship and looking after the TWR Jaguar outfit. It looks like it could be a very competitive season for you and the team.
Indeed it could, if GP World Series has been anything to go by. The downforce GP World Series. So,
yeah, I have to say, you've been a fascinated spectator all the way through the year, and you've really loved the sort of the battles that you've been able to watch on series. Was that mainly the real draw about you wanting to take control of a Group C sports car team and get in the game a bit?
Well, actually, how it happened was my dad drives a Jaguar, you see. So we got a letter through the post one day, which basically said, hey, we're doing a Group C team. Do you want to do it? And I was really surprised. They don't regulate or anything. They don't check if you got qualifications or anything. I mean, I got like a degree in editing and post-production, which I don't think is entirely relevant, but they they seem to let me get away with it. So it's going okay so far.
Passion counts for a lot.
Exactly, yeah. So we'll see how the draw goes.
Fantastic.
But,
Really excited to see how that's going to go. And you guys can tune in to the live draw, which will be taking place tomorrow. And that's going to be very exciting, of course, as the Group C Challenge drivers, Group C Challenge managers, I should say, are going to be given their allocated teams. That's at 2 p.m. tomorrow, UK time, live. So if you want to see what happens in the next phase of the Downforce Grand Prix World Series, that'll be on Wednesday at Shah Alam in Malaysia. But on Saturday, tomorrow at 2 p.m, we'll be doing the live draw for the team managers in the second group of Group C sports cars, and then on Monday the season will begin at Kyalami in South Africa. For now though, from me, Jake Sanson, it's looking good for Jean-Eric Verne in the driver's title race in the Grand Prix World Series as we continue at Shah Alam in Malaysia on Wednesday. Goodbye for now.